Warning, if you're faint of heart or easily offended, this show is not for you.
So Double M, what's it feel like to be so much better at poker than Nick?
I just want to know how bad of a day you must be having today that you're wearing sleeves. I think it's got to be it's got to be not a good day.
It's a really bad day.
I'm excited to get into that.
I have a feeling I'm going to get double teamed and know how this goes. But regardless, that's why we're here. This is the Nick Vertucci Show. We're here with Veronica Brill and Double M. Let's go. All right, you made it.
I made it.
Okay, yeah, I think this has been a long-awaited. I mean, yeah, after that hand we got into, you became a poker god. You became very popular. They loved how you pretty much undressed me in the show, and so it's been a while. And
it was a 5-bet.
Yeah.
Everyone gets undressed in a 5-bet.
Well,
what is your 5-betting range there?
I don't know.
Okay, so I think it's important. We can get into this. This is like a.
I want to get into it because I've been talking about this hand forever.
The context of that hand is very important as well, because everyone was in just like a very salty mood that entire day.
That's right.
It was like from the beginning, right? So from the beginning, Nick sits down and he says, you know, guys, there are some people that don't want to play as big. So let's keep the straddles off, right? First hand Garrett straddles. So I was like, this is gonna be great.
Can I touch that up?
Yes.
So not only did I say that when I sat down, I made sure that every player, because they called it the All-Star game, it was a voting in type thing. And so we had a mixture of like big high stake players with the middle stake or lower stake. And so we had to mix that up. And so I had 2 or 3 players literally say, like, I'll play the game, but like I don't want it to be 200, 400 at some point because that's what'll happen. Please, like, keep it at, was it 25.50? Yeah. Please keep it there. So not only did we like text everyone, we told everyone. I think I made a declaration. And the very first hand, Garrett takes straddle and he goes, everybody straddle, cool. Okay, cool. And he puts out whatever. And then Andy goes, I don't know if the straddle was like 200. He puts 200 and he goes 400.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, and you could see that, like, he almost had a heart attack the first hand, and so that probably wasn't on camera.
No, it wasn't.
And it was really funny. And so I decided at that moment, I was like, I'm going to go after Nick all night tonight because he is about to have a heart attack.
And then Garrett was already prickly. So he said coming in that he was cranky and he didn't want to play.
Garrett was in a mood. You know, he's like a little bit of a diva. He was in a mood. He was like, I don't want to be here. And so it was just like the perfect moment to like just go in.
And then we had something that happened with the casino canceling the tournament right at that time.
Same day.
And so Garrett wanted to give I guess an ambassador type of like speech on it. And I said, let's just stick to poker. And I said, I don't think we should do that. He goes, no, I think we should. And he just like went on his 30-second rant.
It was great.
Then the straddle thing happened. And then Double M could see me, and I just was sitting there like this.
Yeah. It was the like, most unhappy I've ever seen you.
Yeah, I was really, really upset.
So I that was part of. We can go into detail when we talk about this hand.
Yeah.
But that was part of the thinking.
Let's talk about it.
You want to talk about it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you want to give some background of what this hand is, or does everyone already know what it is?
Well, I mean, we're
going to play the clip.
You give the background.
Okay. All right. So there's a hand where I have ace king suited. The game is already playing much, much, much smaller than like, we normally play, which is fine. It's like a fun all-star game. And so people generally want to play looser. It's like more of a home game type feel, right? So when I'm not playing at Hustler, I basically only play private games. And in those private games, there is so much shit talking every single hand. Like every hand, it's like, you fucking suck at poker. Why are you folding that? I'm better than you. Let me see your cards. And that was kind of the feel that we had that day, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so one thing I will say is I 4-bet ace king suited, and I saw the way you reacted to my 4-bet, and I knew he had it before he even bet. So I had a live tell on you for that hand. I don't normally have a live tell on you, but I did. I had a live read, and I knew that you had it. And so I was like, let's see how this motherfucker like 5-bets, because I know he has it, and he's going to try to be cool about it and try to be slick, right? And you try to be slick about it. You bet 65% of your stack or something, which makes absolutely no sense. And you should like learn how to play poker, because that was just ridiculous, right?
I've been telling him this for
totally
years.
gave up. Totally gave up.
And so at that point, I already knew that you had it, and that pissed me off. And I was like, this guy thinks that he's going to be slick with me. Like, I know you fucking have it. You should have just shoved. That's disrespectful that you didn't shove. And I'm going to fucking go in on you. And what's interesting is, look, like in a home game type feel, that's really standard stuff, right? Like just going in on someone and talking shit and breaking their balls and everything. And the thing is, we're friends, right? So like, I feel comfortable doing that with you. I do that. There's plenty of hands where I do that with Garrett, right? Where Garrett sucks out on me, and I like talk. I just
I've seen
like,
many.
I get steam for like the next 30 minutes. I wouldn't do that against someone that I don't consider a friend, right? And so what's interesting is when you rewatch that, not knowing like the context of how the flow of that game, and knowing that we know each other, and that I'm breaking his balls and I know he can take it. It looks like I'm just losing my mind, and it looks like I'm just unhinged. And so I brought this to squash the beef once and for all. This is for you. I actually have gifts for both of you, but here's this is for Nick to squash the beef once and for all.
Whoa, look at
It is. I know you're a single
pamper.
malt guy. It's very, very good. You have a lot of like shitty Blue Label in
Do
there.
I get a car out of this?
So I'm very frustrated because I have a gift for you.
Yeah.
I ordered it a month ago. Still hasn't come. Okay. So I'm very upset, but it's actually nicer than that, and I think that you will really like it.
Why does she have something nicer than me?
Because
Audi,
she's much, much nicer and higher value than you.
An Audi
That's true.
R8.
I mean, at
Yes.
least
I know
you
you're
gave me an
rich,
answer.
and
Yes.
an Audi R8 is my dream car.
Why?
So,
Why is that your dream car?
I love Audis.
Okay.
I drive an Audi, and
Okay.
that's like top tier for
Yeah,
me.
she has a belly button. It's an Audi.
Okay.
I just want you to know that
Okay,
if you
that's-
want to buy me a gift.
Okay. Would you get the manual?
Of course.
Okay. Then that's-
How would you not get the manual? That's ridiculous.
Oh, I didn't know. Some people.
The
don't wanna get
S5
manual.
doesn't come in a manual, so I'm kind of frustrated
That-
about
that's true.
that. But it's
That's-
got the
okay.
pedal.
I didn't realize that you were a car person.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Make sure it's turbocharged.
So anyway, this is to officially squash the beef.
But there was no beef.
I know
but
there's no
thank you.
beef. There's no beef.
Hey, you want to do it again and then bring me another bottle of that? Do it.
No,
Wait,
I don't
let-
want to do it again, because you sat there and you played 3 hands, and it was supposed to be like an all-star game that's loose, and like I was right. Like I'm right. But I understand that you can't respond because you're the owner of the show, and you can't like come back at me, and it puts you in a weird position.
I want to talk about how stupid that 5-bet was and how face up it was.
You're not good at poker.
We should talk about that.
and
Yeah.
it's not like
It was very-
I'm not saying I'm good at poker, but you're in
I'm
that
horrible.
hand. You
Yeah.
were terrible.
Oh,
Do you
I-
call if it's an
F-
all-in?
Yes,
a
absolutely.
respectful
A snap
all-in?
call. If
F
it's an all-in.
minus.
What
Are
a
you kidding me?
disrespectful 5-bet.
Totally.
If you do anything other than what you did, you double up.
I
for
get
me.
I get
You
everything. Yeah.
If you
It
do
depends what the
anything-
flop
I mean, you
comes.
get an ace on the
You
river,
could have won.
maybe.
You could have got an ace or a flush. I mean, we know, but
it doesn't-
But like, I just wanted to get as least amount as I could.
Yes, so you won 6,000 instead of 80,000 or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
right.
So,
No, it wouldn't
Good
have
job,
been 80,
Nick. Good
yeah,
job.
so I'm playing at an
Min
optimal
value, man.
level. I'm playing at a level that you just don't understand.
I clearly I don't. So
Even
so
if you
yes.
had a poker book, you wouldn't
I
understand.
don't. I didn't. I need to read more poker
was
books.
so good.
I was so. I genuinely. I went from like being. It was like this fun game to actually mad at you when you did that. I
know you were
was
mad at me. If
genuinely
you came
pissed
in
off.
here, and said you weren't legitimately mad at me, I would just say you're full of shit.
No, I was genuinely pissed.
I could tell when
because
someone's genuinely
it was the
pissed.
third hand you played all night, and I knew it was the first 5-bet you've ever made in your life, like ever. I don't think you've ever
That's
5-bet
not
before.
true,
ever.
but
I don't think.
But for the
show me-
sake of a good show, let's
Yes.
go with it.
Okay, fair
All
enough.
right.
But anyway, and then
I just want to know, Nick, just tell us honestly, what's your 5-betting range?
I need to have a set of aces
yes.
pre-flop.
A set of
Yeah, a
aces.
set. I don't know
yeah.
how I'm going to accomplish it, but that's my range.
So aces and kings, obviously.
For sure.
Okay.
That's it.
Just,
That's it.
I
It's
just
two
want. I
hands.
just
No,
wanted to
that's it. It's two
clarify
hands.
so that he understands. I don't think he's getting it.
Yes, it's
You
just
know?
2 hands.
No, I very rarely understand.
Yes.
So,
So,
yeah.
and actually, you know what's funny is I knew that that hand ended up making me $200,000. So thank you. And
yeah, from Andy.
Yes,
and
from
he
Andy.
even made that
I know, but
declaration
yes.
later. He goes, "You should thank Nick."
I knew that was happening during the hand with Andy, and we can walk through that.
So basically, what you're saying is you're a genius.
You're talking about Andy's bluff against you, one of the biggest bluffs.
Yes.
You're trying to come on
Hustler.
the show to convince everyone that you're a genius.
I don't need anyone to be.
You know what I almost said to you?
Yes.
But then halfway, okay, a little less than halfway through, I thought you were joking. At first.
Right.
Okay. And then I realized, oh, fuck, he's not joking. He's seriously pissed off. But I almost said to you when you said, I wouldn't even know what to do here. Even if I have a poker book, I wouldn't know what to do. And I almost said, you should have read that fucking poker book a long time ago, bro. I've been watching you play. Don't wait for this hand. But yeah, that was pretty fun. But then when I realized, oh, shit, and you know what? I will make a confession to you right here. Okay. In any other game, you would make me laugh doing that, even if you were super tilted.
Yes.
I would fucking lose. I would go out of character and I'd fall out of my chair because it was so funny. But the reason I didn't do that is because I was so fucking cranky and tilted that whole game that I sat there. And this is a true thing that went in my head. I'm thinking to myself, okay, Nick, you're the owner of this show. You have a decision to make right now. As Nick Vertucci, non-owner, I want to fucking jump out of this chair and fucking go berserk, and just say, fuck you, fucking put your money in, you pussy, or something. And then the other side of me is going, no, you will definitely have 3 weeks of an apology tour and you will regret it. And so just sit there. My fucking hat, was I wearing a hat? Because if I was, I felt it was elevating over my head because I'm thinking, I just don't need this shit right now, bro. You know what I mean? But retrospect, looking back, it's fucking hysterical.
Yeah, and in retrospect, I should not ever have apologized to you. I should not. I actually regret going on.
Let everybody know too. You sent me a set of text that literally went on for almost an hour apologizing, and I'm like, bro, we're
I don't know.
good.
I don't know about an hour.
Okay,
I definitely it was
minutes.
maybe 50 minutes, but still, I did feel bad because Nick he's a weak person and he needs to be coddled.
I do. I'm sensitive.
He's a sensitive guy, and I just. I don't want to hurt. You got a baby at the table. You got to treat him like that.
Yeah.
I would have texted him for 50 minutes fuck you piece of shit. You should have. What kind of 5-bet was that? You're so sorry.
And the truth is, and then we can all joke, and especially you better shut up with your VPIP. We'll talk about that. But literally, one of the reasons why I was as inactive as I was, this is the truth. You can believe this or not, is I wanted to leave. I wanted to leave even before that.
Everyone wanted to leave. No one wanted to be there. That's what was so funny.
I wanted to get up. I wanted to, if again, not the owner of the show, I wanted to leave my chips on the table, figure someone would count them out.
Why?
And just go,
why?
Fuck you, motherfuckers.
Tell us why, again. I know why.
Because this show didn't have a shot from the beginning because of the mixture of players. And I just and then, and here's the other, okay, so I'll answer you and then I'll tell you something else. Oh, this is great. Here.
Just stop fidgeting.
Yeah. So, because before this show, we had so much pressure on us to keep the game at a certain level from certain players. And when it started out that way, and then Garrett continued to give the speech that I didn't want him to give, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, am I a fucking schmuck? Everything that's been said, as the owner of the show, please, let's do this just one time. Everyone's like, straddle, double straddle, fuck you, give my speech. And I'm like, I just wanted to get up and say, you know what, motherfuckers, fuck you.
I got to tell you, as someone that is not the owner of the show, it was hilarious. It was very funny.
That's what I'm saying. Looking back, I'm glad it all happened.
Yes.
Because it's something to talk about, and your rant was fucking epic.
Yes.
But here's the other thing. Here's the other thing there, Vanna. So so I go take a break after all this for a minute. I'm by the lockers and I'm checking my phone, whatever. And so here's what the hell's her name? Shashimi and Iran standing out there talking to Ryan already. I wasn't part of it, and they're going, how come you're not protecting us? How come this is still happening? You gave us our word. I only have 4,000 in front of me. I don't have this, whatever, right? So let me tell. So before that happens, Garrett again goes, straddle. Everyone goes straddle around like he does. He doesn't wait for everyone to say yes. He just makes them shake their head yes, and they by default go like this as he's going around the table, and then he puts it down. And one time, Shashimi takes out a straddle and she straddles, or Garrett asks her to do the straddle. She does it, and Garrett gives her a fist, and she gives him a fist back, like they're bros, like straddle bros. And I'm like, am I in the
straddle, bros?
Am I in the Twilight Zone? You're the one most adamant about not this happening, but now you're fist bumping, and then you want me to go bad for you, and I'm in a bad mood, but you're doing this. So then when I go to the lockers, after the fist bump, they're complaining. And I come up, and then they look at me, and I go, fuck no.
Yeah.
You fucking guys are on your own. I said, I tried from the very beginning. I'm on monkey tilt over it, and now you're fist bumping and all this shit, and now you're complaining? Dude, Ryan, good luck. I went to the bathroom and went back to the table. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not being the guy. So after that, not long after that, I told Ryan, I'm just going to sit. Nick, I don't care what the players say.
Yeah.
If you want to come say something,
that's very different.
When you want to come say something from production,
before.
you want to whatever, and well, speak up for yourself, fellas. Because I don't care about the straddle. I don't know if you know that. It doesn't bother me. I'll play with the straddles. It's just because I'm the owner of the show. I want there to be less attrition.
Yeah.
I want people to be able to play longer.
Yes.
I want people to come on the show more. I want them to trust that if they come into a 25-50 game, it's not a 1-2 game, because if not, they won't show up.
Right.
So these are just the things.
Wait, so you're saying there was a moment where you told Ryan, I'm not going to play any more hands. I'm just going to sit there.
Oh, okay. Good. Well played.
I'm
Yes,
just saying,
yes.
let's try to find that moment.
I think
when
Nick,
you spazzed out about a $6,000 bet, were the markets down?
Were
you struggling a little financially?
I don't remember, but I was probably in a bad mood that day. Yeah.
I have a feeling, honestly, Nick, just from talking to you and knowing you, I feel like you can't distinguish between people when the show person is on, because the person who's playing on a camera, the person who's doing the podcast or doing a vlog, and then the real person. Because a lot of times those two are not exactly the same. Because when Sashimi or Iron are on the show, they don't want to be like, oh no, we don't want to straddle Garrett. Of course they want to be like, ha ha ha, yeah, I fit in, and then go tell you like, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. You have to understand that dynamic.
I understand it just fine.
You just don't have to be the person falling on the sword.
I'm not going to do it anymore.
Valerie, what were you thinking as a show owner at that point? Like, were you thinking I need to step in, or
I was like, this is great for ratings.
Outrank them, so you were just like, I'm going to let the underlings.
Yeah, and I was like, we need to tilt Double M more and more every episode.
Got it. Actually, I wasn't tilted that day. That was the only hand where I was tilted, because Nick got me there. But
you just said you weren't tilted, and then you said you were tilted. So why is your story?
Because he's a liar.
Listen,
that's easy.
Look,
he's already changed it. By the way, since the hand happened, he's changed his story
100 times.
Not that anyone else is doing that recently, but he changed his story 1,000 times. I wasn't mad. Well, that's the first time I was officially mad. I mean, you're a little bit bipolar.
That's because there's a lot of fluid information going on here. And after the hand, Nick actually gave me a refund, and it was great. So it ended up being totally amazing.
We need to get to the bottom of this investigation.
Right, so this podcast is being recorded on October 9th.
It's in the middle of the shitstorm. I don't know what the day is.
Okay, so that's so everyone watching, if this comes out 2-3 weeks later, at least they need to understand some of the things we talk about, the context.
So 3 weeks from now, someone's probably going to be in jail, and we won't know how that plays out, but
my God, what a statement you just made.
I think that's an interesting statement, and that's a statement coming from like assuming that there will be fairness if there was cheating, and like being jaded by the Mike Postle stuff.
Yep.
I feel like it's always so difficult to prove any sort of cheating in poker, and then to actually have anything happen outside of the poker community.
So like we said, this is a very fluid situation. There's like new facts coming out
you said. Yeah, not we.
Okay, so I'm saying it's a very fluid situation, right? And it's funny because I was playing on Friday with Doug, Polk, and like all the guys on Friday night. And
how'd you do? I really don't know.
I was up 100.
Oh my God, you're a beast now.
$100, that's great. Good for you.
Yeah, it was cool.
But go on.
And so the Garrett's like big kind of Watergate report hit while we're sitting there at the table, and no one knew it was like, no one even knew it was out. And so I went to the bathroom and I saw that it hit, and I was like, Doug, you got to go check your phone, man. And he was like very upset that he had to play poker.
Yeah,
for
he wanted to jump on that shit real time. Yeah.
But so look, I agree with you that it's difficult to get justice. What I will say is, look, there's levels to this, like Meek Mill said, right? So level one is...
You're quoting Meek Mill?
Yeah, of course. Meek Mill's, of course.
Who's that?
He's a rapper from Philly.
Okay. That's what I was about to say.
He's good. Yeah. So
interesting.
So he, if you look, so I've probably played between 10 and 20,000 hours of poker in my life, right?
You never know it.
I don't.
You haven't read a book,
good.
though.
I've done it a lot.
You
Right? I've
haven't
done a
read
lot
a
of things
single
for 20 hours.
Yeah, it's just like
20,000
sex. You
hours
could
that
do it a lot. Doesn't mean
I'm
you're
not
good.
at.
Yeah.
So, but so I play in a lot of kind of big private games with, I think the first thing that came out was, this person's got a lot of money. It doesn't matter if she makes reckless calls like this because she's rich or whatever it is. I've never, I play with a lot of very, very rich people. I've never in my life seen a call as crazy as that, right? So that's level one, is that this is the best hero call I've ever seen in my life.
And
right?
that's why we're here discussing it, because
yes. So
it's
number
absurd.
one is best hero call ever. Okay. Level two is then the behavior starts coming out, right? Which is, okay, this person's backed by this person, and the story's changing, and you're tanking, and you can't explain why you were tanking, and so that's just okay, that's a little weird, right? Level three is you give the money back, right? Now it's starting to get pretty difficult to believe you, and I know what your sentiment is, and it's correct, is that this is all circumstantial, right? O.J. Simpson was all circumstantial. I'm not going to go get dinner with O.J. Simpson, right?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I don't think that it is all circumstantial. It would be really interesting if it would. It would be really sad for her if it was all just circumstantial. I think things are starting to add up.
One of the things that I would say is, so Garrett is a friend of mine, and he is... it's funny because he gets a lot of hate just because he's such a visible guy in the poker scene, and people just kind of Jordan got haters, right? Everyone gets haters, and he genuinely is a good person, and he didn't ask for any of this. It just happened to him, right? And he has to now deal with this because he was kind of thrust into this situation, and it sucks, right? It sucks for anyone to have to deal with. And he has been public about how he deals with depression, and he has a lot of anxiety, and I can't imagine how as someone with that kind of psyche already to have to kind of deal with this, it's tough. And so shout out to Garrett. I haven't talked to him a lot since this happened because he's clearly been in the lab, but he is genuinely a good person, and I didn't know that until I started playing out here, right? I've watched you guys kind of for the last however many 5-6 years at the bike.
Yeah.
I thought you guys were awesome entertainment. We would have you guys on. We'd play in home games in New York, and we'd have you guys on the TV.
Yeah.
It was cool. And then I thought to myself, there's no way that this guy's actually a good dude, right? He's just a poker player who's a shark, but he actually is a good person. And so it sucks that this is happening to him, but I think we're all going to get to a place where people see kind of what the truth is. I think, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and we were going to let you give it.
Yeah, for sure.
If I could add to that, when you say we're all going to get to the truth, I think again, and I've said this a few times with the whole Mike Postle stuff, there's only so much we can uncover. It's hard to get a device if there was cheating.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to define as a community what the truth is, or what we would deem to be guilty or innocent. Mm-hmm. And then we need to establish a set of boundaries within our community to agree to what we're going to do with that information when we decide.
Sure. Yeah, I think those are good points. I do think it's a little sus that the one link between Postle and this situation is Valerie. And I think that, that potentially, I'm not saying that should be investigated, but
I'm so happy that I don't actually work for Hustler Casino Live, because I would just be I'm just going to go live under a rock.
So now we have a verbal declaration. You do not own any of the stream.
Away all her equity.
Everyone wants to be an owner when things are really going good. When they're going bad, they're like, hey, fuck, I don't know what they're talking about.
I sold my equity that night.
You sold it. Yeah, all right.
Hey, Vincent, can you turn the air down to 69 before I fucking face melts off? We don't even have to cut that. Okay, let's go. Sorry.
Is your face melting off? I thought that's just the way you look.
He's just steamed. He's just getting steamed. But it's all right.
Notice how he asked for 69. But anyway.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Look, we don't need to talk about it the whole podcast.
Yeah.
I think that it's
it would be weird to not talk about it given
it's the
the
biggest
shitstorm.
Poker story ever, and it's happening. Okay. So this is one thing I will say is the biggest sun run I ever had in poker in my life was that I did not play in that game. So I was in New York, and Ryan was texting me, and he was like, "Hey, I was like on the wait list for this game, right? Because Phil Ivey was there, and I've never played against Phil, and I would love to play against him." And he was like, "We got to drop out. Like you're the first spot if you want it." And I was in New York, and I was like, "How do I need to get back to California in time because I can play with Phil Ivey. This is awesome, right?" And there were no flights, right, to get back in time. So then I started looking at private flights, and I was like, "Okay, do I really want to pay like this much to get back in a game to play with Phil Ivey? Like, I need to get my fucking head examined if I'm paying money to play with like the greatest player of all time, right?" So I texted him back, and I was like, "No, I can't. Sorry, man, I can't get back in time." Best luck of my life.
If you sure.
That I was not in this game.
Yeah, well, you're running good.
Yeah, I'm running very, very good.
You folded ace king against kings. You didn't show up to the
that
game.
That wasn't luck. That's called being a fucking crusher. And
that's called playing against a fish.
Yeah, that's called just don't play against Nick ever if he's in a hand.
Well, not when he's 5-betting.
Yeah, well, you don't have to worry about it because like if on one of those three hands, if you're in one of them, then you just don't have to play.
Correct.
Yeah, there's not a lot to be worried about.
That's correct.
Next time, just go all in.
Thank you, Valerie, for your wonderful poker advice.
Oh, here's something that like people don't really. I guess I'm very opinionated on this, so I'll just give my opinions. Right, a lot of people talk about how you're a very winning player on the stream. Right?
Yeah, that's actually controversy.
It's very controversial because you're a very winning player on the stream,
right?
And you also organize the game, right?
Yep. Now,
what's interesting is So I basically exclusively play in private games, right? And so there's always a guy or two guys that are organizing it, and 100% of the time they're playing in the game, right? 100%. There's never a time when a guy's organizing a game.
Is it a fair comparison though?
So that's my question, right? Is there a difference because it's streamed, right? It is a very fair comparison if it's not streamed, right? Usually the guy that organizes the game is the tightest player, and usually he's number one or number two biggest winner in the game, and that's why he organizes the game, right? Mm-hmm. So I organize the game. So during COVID, we can get into this later. I started running a game like online because everyone was bored in New York, and we started playing games. I started running a game because I started getting kicked out of games in New York because I was winning too much, and so I had to start my own game. Right. And that's just kind of what happens: is you start your own game. You invite your friends, you invite people that you think are a good fit for the game, and typically the guy that runs the game is the winner.
I played in my own game I ran on Stones, and all my high stakes friends who were playing on apps during COVID were playing in their own game that they organized too.
Correct. And so the question is, does it make a difference because it's streamed? Because I think people don't realize, and I'm not defending you. I'm not like defending you or advocating for you. Yeah. What I'm saying is, it is very typical for someone who organizes a game to play in it and also be a winner in it.
Well, let me answer it this way and give me some time to get a couple things out. One is, I will say, I think even, I could be wrong, but even on my opening speech on August 3rd, when our very first show, I think I said something like, one of the reasons, well, I could just tell you this because I can't remember for sure. Here's the reasons I started the show, okay? I started the show because I decided to retire out of all my other businesses because I just felt like being done with that grind. I made enough money in my life to do that. Poker was becoming one of probably my biggest passions. When COVID hit, and around that time or sooner, I went deep into the lab, like with coaching and training, and literally even not this last 2 weeks because of the shit show, but even prior to that, like every single hand I play, every single hand, shouldn't say this, but a lot of hands other people play. Like I decided, it would be fun for me to not be the spot and to really learn poker, not to come be like a killer or to have bad form. I just wanted to take it as my next life challenge. And so, Ryan and I, when we just started, and so that was in itself one thing. And then when Ryan and I decided to go get a show, one of the reasons I wanted to get a show was so I could play, right? Like you said, like people have, I wanted to play. Now I play 2 to 3 times a week sometimes. I look forward to it. It's my social life. These guys are my friends. We fucking laugh, talk. So that's why I wanted to do it. I put, $500,000 into this investment, to do it. And I understand the concept of conflict, and I understand that now because I am the winning player or second winningest from whatever, it could change now because everyone's starting to have these big wins. But, I understand the scrutiny and the heat, but, the bottom line is it's like, I'm going to play poker. That's what I'm going to do. And, I had to talk about this with Doug, and it's like, Doug plays in his games, but there's not that controversy right now. And, I got a little bit of that, very small, but now this happening, I'm getting a lot of that. And it's just like, I don't know how to answer it any other way than like, I really try and I play a lot. So I do need to kind of try, and I take it as it's not like I need the money. It's like a challenge to me to figure out poker. And so every time I go there, I make like 5 or 10 mistakes. Even if I have a winning session, I make mistakes. Like, it's a mistake to 5-bet you. That's just stupid, right? I'd have got all the money.
Your sizing was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was fucking
terrible.
Stupid. Yes. Okay,
the worst I've ever seen.
Yes.
More. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, so bad. Yeah, bad.
Yeah, that should be the thing you look at in the
dog
life.
shit.
Yeah, it should be the one thing I focus on probably for the next few months. Yeah.
Correct.
And I am. And since that day, I've hated myself. So, but the bottom line.
Cries in the fetal position
But
every night.
the bottom line is, and want to hear a fun fact? This is my hand to God. I thought you were going to come on sooner. And I went back, and I had one of my guys go back, and I ran our last 12 to 15 shows, yours and mine. I had a higher VPIP than you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that.
I promise. If I need to go back and actually pull all the shows and not have you back on, I would never make it up, because if I did just for a fun show, then I would be slaughtered just for fun, right?
Well, look,
You're so sensitive.
No, it's okay. Listen.
Oh my God, it's
no.
not being sensitive. We're
I'm
having.
saying the VPIP thing.
We're having.
You guys are the ones talking about it, playing 3 hands. I'm just talking about.
So I've also done the math. I played in 12 episodes, right? And I am the 6th winningest player, and all I care about is that I win more than you. If I can get above you, then that's all I care about. I don't care if I'm.
I love it.
I don't
and
care
you'll
if I'm
probably
the,
get there
the
because
99th
you're
most
playing in the
losing player.
You're playing in the Friday game. You're going to surpass me easily.
Yes.
But do not call me sensitive, because we're talking about a subject.
You don't think you're sensitive?
I'm so sensitive.
You are.
But I'm look, I'm a bitch. The sunset comes down, I cry. Okay.
Yes.
The sunset, I cry.
Every night.
You have very
as soon as I
soft
see a
hands.
sunset,
Yes.
I'm a fucking mess.
Yes.
But regardless, if we're going to bring up a subject, I want to be able to talk about it.
Yes.
So now, if we're going to talk about, and I know she's not sensitive because she's has nothing inside.
She actually is a vampire.
She's a fucking hollow shell with glasses and a blonde wig.
Yeah, so
she's got a
clearly
blonde wig.
a broken person.
She's got a blonde wig.
Correct.
And just literally has like just nothing. She's a shell. You
Botox and silicone.
Yeah. She's just she's like a blow up doll.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
So listen, with that said, this blow-up doll mother fuzzer right here came on the Max Payne Monday after weeks of busting my balls. And I don't care how card dead she is. Oh, okay, it's okay for her to be card dead. 12% and lost
Better
6
than Doug Polk.
and lost 6 or 8K. So
Okay.
Talk about someone who should never bring up VPIP again. Even
bad.
if she's a girl and she has she can bring views, she probably can never play again, because now that she's not an owner, she's got no juice. And who wants to see her play one hand?
Valerie, do you want to defend yourself at all?
Oh, it's card dead.
I'm such a good player that I was trying to let other people win so that I don't embarrass them for the rest of their lives.
Okay, that's very nice.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Benevolent.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was doing it out of my own sheer kindness, because I'm such
I didn't
a
know
good
blow-up
person.
dolls had kindness or any
You
kind
I
of
am
emotion.
such a good person.
You seem like a very kind
Any
person.
guy, anyone interested in ordering a blow-up doll? This is what it looks like. I don't know if you're into that, but anyways, yeah. So
an old used blow-up doll.
That's right.
I think if one of you guys looks like a blow-up doll, it's definitely you. You look like a literal blow-up doll. You look like you got stung by a bee. Yeah, that's what you look like. You know what you look like? You look like if a sausage pizza found a genie and then wished to become a human, and then that's you. That's what you look like.
Man. This is gonna be the best show ever.
Yeah, that's what you look like.
You look like you've only been eating hot dogs for the last 20 years.
And
yeah,
I've seen better heads in the men's restroom than yours. So it goes both ways.
That is true.
That's
I do know jujitsu. So
yeah, that's an accurate point.
Anyways, all right. That's good. That's good.
All right.
So Shit, I don't know. Ask him a question.
Yeah,
I'm done
so
with this fuck.
how did you end up getting on Hustler Casino Live anyway? Like,
Okay.
what was the origin
Whose
story?
mistake was that?
All right. So I've been playing poker for since I graduated college. So I graduated college call it 18 years ago. I've been playing. I played in college. I've been playing since then. And I used to be a big blackjack player. And so a friend and I would go kind of travel across the country and play blackjack. We'd go to, we started in Atlantic City. We'd go to Vegas. We'd go to, the other casinos around.
How did that work out for you?
So it worked out very well. And I, probably about 10 years ago, neither of us are allowed to play blackjack anymore in casinos in this country. And so we had to kind of switch to, we're known as what's called advantage players, right? Which just means that like you know when to bet big, you know when to kind of bet small.
Can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
Is there, because I've played blackjack before, and I know you can play with like single deck, double deck.
Yes.
Like, what is the deck? How many decks can you play in to be an advantage player?
So what you want is you're looking for 6 deck with deep penetration. So something that I don't know. Maybe you might know something about.
A little, but
You want
if you
deep
could
penetration.
let us know.
Deck.
Valerie, how many
Decks?
6 deck
how
hand
many
shuffle.
decks are you comfortable with?
I mean, as many as I need
What
to
you
be.
want is you want to find a dealer that lets you get really deep in terms of the penetration. And so
I would think a single deck you could count the cards.
Okay, but the payouts are different in single deck, right? So for example, many times in single deck, the dealer is allowed to stand on saw 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and you get payouts different. If you pay out 1-to-1 in blackjack, it just ruins the whole edge, right? And so what you want is hand shuffle 6 deck, deep penetration. And when you have that, then you can wait and you can just play shoe after shoe after shoe until the deck gets really, really heavy.
Define deep penetration. Is that cutting the cards deep in the middle?
So what happens is when you cut, they'll give you, the cut card and you cut the deck, and then they cut the deck. And when basically what happens is they deal the cards, and when it gets to the point when they hit their cut card, they start a new shoe. Mm-hmm. And so what you want is a dealer that deals as much of the shoe as he can, right? Because that end of the deck is when you make all your money, right? Because when it's very, very heavy, you want to be able to play as many hands as possible in that kind of end of the deck. And so that's what you want to go to a casino where they play 6 deck hand shuffle with a very high spread, right? So you can bet, your min bet's 500 and your max bet's 50,000.
So you've got kind of an algorithm going where you're like counting which cards you see and kind of doing a quick...
You have 3 counts, right? So you have the true count, which is how many, tens and aces have come out. You have your second count, which is the number of cards that have come out, and then your third count is the number of aces that have come out. So you know at all times how good the deck is. And basically what you're playing for is just for the dealer to bust. And you want to be betting big when you think that the dealer's going to bust. And if you do that correctly and you play basically standard, blackjack, you have an advantage over the house.
So does it matter if there's a player on the table who doesn't know what they're doing and
there's no other players at the table? You're playing.
It just has to be you and the dealer?
You're playing in the back room on your own table.
Okay.
There's no, when you're playing $100,000 hands of blackjack, it's just you. Like you do whatever you want.
Big shoot, damn.
I'm not saying I did that. I'm saying if one does that, you get your own room. So
just kidding.
Yes. So anyway, I started playing blackjack and poker. And I stopped being able to play blackjack. So I started focusing in poker. And to be honest, I was kind of just like a flat, I was just an average player. I kind of didn't really win or lose a lot. But then something happened, which was COVID, right? So COVID hit 3 years ago, and we started quarantining. And at that point, I had been playing, I'd been actually driving to like Parks and like Atlantic City because those were the biggest games. And at that point, it was like probably 10-25 was the biggest game. And those buy-ins were capped, right? You're capped at like $5,000, I think, at Parks. And then at Borgata, it was uncapped. It was crazy. Like people would buy in for 10 grand, and it was like a huge game. Then COVID happened, and something funny happened, which is a lot of these private games migrated online because everyone was just bored and there was nothing to do. So we started playing 5-6 times a week online, and my win rate went through the roof. And I realized that I had a lot of leaks in my game, and I was just playing way too many hands. My VPIP was way too high. And I did kind of what you did, which is went into the lab and studied my style. I tried to fix all my leaks, and it started becoming a real source of income to me.
Is that, and I'm not trolling you even though I want to, is that why your VPIP went down because you started playing a different strategy? So
you mean I went down at Hustler?
Yeah.
Hustler was the first live game I'd played in 3 years.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And so what's interesting about playing live is first of all, you probably play a fifth as many hands is the first thing.
Yeah.
And the second thing is when you win or lose a pot, the dealer has to like pay people out, which takes 30 seconds.
Yeah,
or so,
you
right?
see less hands.
So you just see you're seeing probably an order of magnitude fewer hands playing live.
Totally.
And so when I started, I was just bored, right? I was just like, like it was just boring, and so I was playing a lot more hands. Also, there's an element we should talk. This is going to come into play when we talk about the Andy hand. There's an element that this is on stream. Right, so you want to play splashier. You want to play looser than you normally would. If you like, it's interesting because if you play very tight in a private game, like no one knows what your cards are. They don't know like that you're like they might think you're just card dead or whatever it is. But if you do it on stream, you're gonna get exposed. You're exposed pretty quickly, and you're not gonna get invited back, right? And this is something that Billy spoke about on your podcast.
What are you smiling at me for?
No, I'm smiling because I'm not getting invited back.
Well, yeah, I don't have a view on that, but if you lost, maybe you should get invited back, right? To redeem yourself, right?
Great.
And so yes, the answer is yes. That's why my VPIP went down. Is I was bored to start, and I was like, I got to start playing like I have been for the past 3 years, because that's the other thing too. Is in some of these like big private games, it's very much like a Mayweather fight where you have to just dodge the fucking shots for 6 hours or however long. Obviously it's not 6 hours for him, but the reason why Mayweather's so good is he just never gets hit, right?
Yeah.
And so in these huge games, the difference in your month can be that you're at the wrong end of like a 7-figure pot, right? And so you need to cut off that tail, because that makes you a winning. If you can dodge the 7-figure losses, then you'll be a winning player. And that's why I actually was giving up. I studied a lot of my hands on stream. In the beginning, I was giving away too much value when I was ahead. I wasn't going for thin enough value because I was sitting very deep against guys that were also very deep. And if I raise 50,000 on the river and he jams for 600,000, like, am I prepared to lose 600,000, or I just take the $50,000 pot now, right?
Yeah, so when you're playing that deep, you do have to be careful or be willing to be in that position.
Correct. And so I've hopefully since that fixed that leak in my game, but that's something to think about, is like, that is the difference maker, is when you lose massive pots, and you do that by playing tighter. So
yeah, and I was, as I've been in the lab, and like, no, I don't hide the fact that like I try real hard, and I'm like, for my own thing where I just tell me the truth. When you started really studying, isn't it more fun because then you're in a way because you're applying like things and you see the results, right? And that exact subject, someone I work with says, look, you need to get value, and you need to just deal with it later when you get shoved on. Like, you have to go for thin value. Yeah. You have to do it. A lot of times you don't, especially because, like you said, you're deep and you're like, fuck it. Like, I'd rather just win this pot than have to lose like, 100,000 right now.
Yes. And
the truth is if you want to be a really great player, you have to do it and then deal with it.
Yes, that's right. And that's exactly right. And what I found is I don't want to be in those spots. So I was never in those spots. And then I realized, you know what? You got to put yourself in those spots. You have to do it if you want to get to that next level.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm at the next level, but I'm trying to get there. And it's very important. It's one of the things that's interesting is I've realized that when you play in kind of high stakes private games, one of the most powerful things you can do is have a very strong calling range and very strong check back range. Yeah. And the reason why is these guys don't give a shit about money, and they will run you over if you don't. If you don't have a strong. And so I'll give you an example. This happened, I think, 3 or 4 months ago. My friend was in the game. They were playing Hold'em, and there's a guy who it's his game. He's a hedge fund guy. He is a complete sicko. He's the sickest guy in the country. And if you, I think some of the viewers will know who I'm talking about. But he is just a psychopath. He was sitting with about $3 million in chips, in cash, but in chips. And my buddy was sitting with about 600,000, right? So my buddy looks down. He's got ace king suited, and the pot goes, I think, raise. It's raise, 3-bet, 4-bet call, right? So he's out of position. And the flop...
He calls the 4-bet out of position?
No, the psychopath...
Called the 4-bet out of
calls
position.
4-bet out of position, right? Flop comes, okay, like I think 6-7 king or something like that, right? The pot at this point, I think, is maybe $30,000, $40,000, right?
Okay.
Friend bets, I think, half pot. He's got top, right? The guy across from him shoves for $3 million, right? So,
Well, effectively, it's like
600,000.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but yes,
1.2.
600 effective. But the point is, you're not going to see that in any solver. You're not going to see that in a poker book. This guy, you're not ever going to read anything about this guy doesn't care about money. Like, what do I do when someone shoves on me for 10x pot on a flop when I have top, right? And he just flatted me pre, and like it just puts your mind in a blender. And he ended up folding, and the guy turned over complete air. He had nothing. Absolute nothing. And so that, I think, a lot of my style is born off of that, which is
Right.
like you need to not be able to get run over, because that's how you get destroyed.
Yeah,
right?
that's a little PTSD from it. So
Correct.
you have to
Correct.
be careful. And sometimes that's even like, when I'm playing with against someone like Garrett or Ludacris, right? Like, that's what's going through my mind. Like,
Yes.
I know that if I bet this flop or I go for thin value, that I might have to face all my chips going
Correct.
in here.
Correct.
No matter what they have.
Although Garrett has it sometimes, which is...
That's right.
Right. So
no, he will have it sometimes. He's very balanced.
Yeah, so Luda will never have it.
No,
so
he'll have it 20% of the
Yes,
time.
that's right.
But again, it's still a big endeavor, because you're thinking to yourself, okay, I have top. I'm playing against a guy that's out of his mind. But if he does have it this time, he's got a Saturday, whatever it is, like, is there a better spot for me?
Right.
To get his money than to flip my coin here to not,
The answer is yes. There's always going to be a better spot. There's
So
always going to be a better
that's
spot.
why sometimes, even myself, I'll err on I made the worst fold ever, and it was a bad fold. It wasn't even a justification, but I made a bad fold where I fold pre-flop queens against Francisco, who was stuck, and it was for everything. And I just thought to myself, probably not a fold here, okay? He is stuck, whatever. And then I just thought to myself, God, I'm in a zone right now. I'm winning. I'm having a great session. If I happen to be wrong here, I don't know. It was just one of those decisions, but I erred on the side of the other way, which was a mistake in this moment. But these are the things that, like, when people are watching, it doesn't compute to them, because they just want to see it.
So you're reminding me of something of when you talk about, okay, if I lose here, I go from having a winning session to a losing session,
Which is
right?
wrong.
That we should that came into play when against that hand where Andy tried to bluff me. So we should talk about that at some point.
Because the truth is if you're a good poker player, you should never think that.
Yes.
Because it is one long session.
Yes.
You can't be results oriented. And I will tell you, from about, even that I've been working at my game, everything else, it probably isn't until and I made this mistake recently, so this contradicts this, but it is the truth. Recently, I'm coming more to terms with, because I'm so competitive, that like this session, I want a win, because I'm just competitive. But now that I'm really learning poker and all the other sides of it, it's like if you look at it like that, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna do stupid things like I did in that hand, and you are not a top poker player that is just trying to lock up a win, right? And so I've had that mind frame. And what I've also worked on lately, and it kind of shows in my behavior, because if you go back months, if I just lost a big hand or I got massively coolered, I don't tilt with my chips, but you could see phically that like I'm not okay. Like I'm just like either disappointed in myself or just pissed. And so lately, like I lost 35,000 session recently, and I wouldn't say I wasn't bothered. I wasn't bothered to the point to where it affected my demeanor at all. And 35 is not a lot of money. I'm just saying, like, I'm getting better at understanding variance and all those things. Because if you don't, we'll fall back into that mode of being too careful.
Yes.
Yeah. So just to make your point.
We had Andy on here.
Yes.
And he talked about that bluff, which is still, I think, the biggest bluff attempt, or as Andy called it, the biggest punt
Yes.
In Hustler Casino Live history. And Andy blamed Nick for that.
Yes. So I
get blamed for everything.
he's 100% right, and so we went
It
into
is
that
Nick's
hand.
fault.
Where's? I was gonna joke and say, "Where's my cut?" But with everything going on, probably not a good time to joke. Yeah,
You already said it.
you already
got your cut,
It's
Nick.
out
You
there.
already
But at
got
least
it.
I said it as a joke.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yes. So that hand, I knew while that hand was going on. So that hand happened on Friday, right? So this is the hand where I had aces.
The bluff hand.
This is the bluff hand,
Yeah.
right? So that Wednesday was the All-Star game when I went on my rant against you, right? And it was a very, very, very visible like nitty fold, right? And it was funny because I didn't expect this, but you were getting crushed on Twitter, which was like, look, you can't even get action from a guy that has ace king suited, right? And it was very funny and it made me feel good. But it was very visible that I made this very nitty fold, right? Now, Andy also, so what I know about Andy is I know what he thinks about me. And or at least up until that point.
What does he think about you?
He thinks that I overfold. He thinks that I am extremely tight. And then on top of that, I just made a ridiculous nitty fold on that Wednesday, right? So he thinks that I know that he thinks I overfold, which he's probably right. Like I probably do overfold. But that's part of like coming from this mindset where I don't want to lose like 7 figures in a pot. It's happened to me and it doesn't feel good. And I just want to prevent that from happening again. So going into that hand, I think it was big blind versus hijack. I'm in the big blind. I think he's in the hijack. When he 4-bets there, right, he still has a pretty wide range, right? So Andy's a very, very good player. He's very capable. And on top of that, he is a content creator, right? So that's something to think about, which is if this guy's going to make a move against a rec, right, who's like a hedge fund guy, who's like, fuck hedge fund guys, he's going to do it against me. And so I could tell when he was raising that he was trying to isolate me, right? And so I knew that his range was pretty wide, even at that point, okay?
Yeah.
Now, that's why I didn't 5-bet, is I figure, okay, this guy's range is pretty wide anyway. If I 5-bet here, he's just going to fold, right, with basically most of his hands. And because he's trying to rep my hand, right, which I have 2 aces, so I'm blocking ace king, I'm blocking aces. And so I flatted, right? And I thought to myself, okay, let's see like how much he loses his mind, because I knew he was going to try to bluff me off my hand, simply because like I'm a rec, and I thought to myself, he thinks I overfold, and he's probably trying to make a video about me, right? Like he does this
In
for a
that
living,
moment, you think
right?
Andy's intention is to make a video
Absolutely,
about you?
absolutely, yes.
He's saying it's one of the pieces.
It's one of the
but I
things
think it's
that I'm thinking
an
about,
interesting
right?
consideration
Absolutely.
during
it's
the
one of
hand.
the things that went through my mind, right? Then the flop comes and it's 3 low cards that are like kind of connected, right? And I think to myself, okay, this isn't great, right? This is not a great flop for me because his range is pretty wide. I do not have him on any kind of gapped connectors though, right? I don't think that he's going to 4-bet with like Jack 9 or like 10-8 or things like that. Those are just like much weaker hands.
What did he have?
He had Queen 8. He had below the basement of his range, right? He had like
Queen 8 of diamonds or something?
No, it wasn't suited.
It wasn't even
He had
suited. Oh, that's
it was
so
a
gross.
6 standard deviation like left tail hand that he had, and
Yeah.
and that right there, like I was right about his read on me, is that he thinks that I overfold.
he was
and
trying
then
to
he puts
outplay
me.
you.
Yes, exactly. He's going to outplay me and then like show YouTube
Sure.
that he did it right. So then he continues, right? So I check. He continues. The turn is a brick, and I check, and he bets $35,000. Now, one thing I know about Andy is he is, first of all, so he's Chinese, or actually, so he's Taiwanese.
yeah.
Yes. So
Which is-
I don't. He's Taiwanese.
We're
I'm sorry.
trying not to be
Sorry, Andy,
political,
I
yeah.
didn't. Okay. See, he's from Taiwan.
I think people from China will say that is China.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's from Taiwan, and I'm
half Chinese, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that enters into my thinking as well, which is that money. It means something, right? Like it's $35,000 is $35,000. It's not like this means nothing, and these are all chips, and like I'm a robot from like Europe that doesn't think about, that just plays GTO every single day, right? So it means something. So he bets, right, and I call. Okay, so at that point, the board wildly favors his 4-bet range, right? But I still call $35,000. Okay, so I'm thinking in his head, right? I'm thinking, what does he think I have? if I'm calling. And it has to be that he thinks that I have an overpair, like some shitty overpair, because there's no way that I would call $35,000 on this board when he's being this aggressive, right? Then we get to the river, and I thought to myself, okay, I'm either going to snap call any pot size bets, or I'm probably going to raise any like small bets, right? And he loses his mind, and he bets $150,000. Or he asked me how much I have first, and then he goes bananas.
And then all of his chips started falling over.
Okay, so in fairness, I didn't even see that while the hand was happening, right? Like it was the chips at Hustler are terrible. So
they're terrible.
In Andy's defense, it wasn't because he was nervous. The chips really are terrible, and my chips fall over all the time, and I'm like not really nervous when I'm playing. So except that hand, I was going
to ask you, at any point in this hand, were you kind of getting really nervous?
I'll tell you why I was nervous that hand. It's because it was on stream. Right. And so what's interesting is Doug Polk was actually the guy that like taught me this like 15 years ago or whatever it was, when he started putting out videos about whenever you bluff or whenever you raise or whatever it is, you're constructing your ranges for the rest of that session. Right. So the question is, how expensive do you want your bluffs to be later on? Right. Do you want them to be expensive? Do you want them to be cheap? How much value do you want to get when you have the nuts? Right. If your bluffs aren't expensive enough, you're not going to be able to get a lot of value when you have the nuts. Right. So there's this balancing act when you're constructing your range.
You have to be balanced.
Correct.
When you're bluffing or have it.
So in my head, right, the reason why I was so upset about it wasn't the money. It was that this is going to be a fucking hand that people watch. And if I'm wrong here, I'm going to look like the biggest donkey, and it's going to be on TV.
So you're worried about perception.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I thought about, which is if I call here and I'm wrong, right, I lose an extra 150 grand, right? But if I fold here and I'm wrong, people are going to do this to me every single game I play. Well, this might be a negative $10 million fold for me if I do this.
When I was really wrecking it up, and I'm sorry to cut you off, and I was the mark, in the $1 million game at the bike, I folded aces to Berkey. The hand was a little bit different, and the board was way wetter, but still, it was...
No, but I thought about that, which is this is a public hand, and if I'm playing against me in another game in Vegas or whatever it is, I know I can get this guy off aces if I just bet big enough, right? And that played into my mind, right? And so I figured it's like everything from Andy thinking that I overfold to trying to create content on his own to the fact that this is now going into my public range, right? What I do on this river, it became a pretty easy call. Like it was like a 90% I was going to call, right? But it's agonizing knowing if I make the wrong choice here, it's going to be like, it's getting posterized. Like it's like if you're playing in the NBA, you get dunked on. Like you don't want to be on the poster. You don't want to be the other guy on the poster. So.
No, totally. No, that makes total sense. Yeah, honest. That's for
sure. So thank you. I knew that the reason why he lost his mind like that is because he saw me go on a rant, and it made me happy to see him admit that he said that.
I just think your considerations are quite interesting in that hand. I always think of like these high level players, which I consider you one of them, to be just like thinking about all of the GTO options in the decision tree. Yeah. Not like dudes making content about me and like the public
that's
perception of the hand.
I'm obviously thinking about what combinations of hands he could have as well.
Right. But it's just interesting to hear you talking about the perception of you calling on that river and like how much it would cost you later on if you don't call.
It would have cost me 10 times what I would have lost if I was wrong.
I think a lot of people, obviously in the games I play in, are not thinking at that level at all, which is obvious. I mean, you're playing at a different level. It's interesting how you need to like invest in like future hands.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And that's the difference about being on stream is you can play in a private game for a year and no one ever knows what your cards are, right? Like they don't know if you're overfolding or underfolding or overcalling or they don't know because they don't know what your hands are.
Yeah, so there's pluses to playing on a stream, which you know them, right? But the negatives are this. Yes. I mean, you are in full scrutiny and everything you do, everything you say, how you act, how you respond, how your posture is. And you have to, if you're going to play on stream and you're going to play a lot or be high profile, I'm not very good at this, but you got to be pretty thick skinned. And
for sure.
I'm getting better at it. It's really weird too, because like I was really getting better at it, and then this whole shit sandwich started, and now I'm going back in the tank a little bit because I'm receiving so much pressure and negative over it that like now maybe I'm even building a stronger baseline for when I get through this, because you're just scrutinized. So yeah. And I've made a lot of decisions on stream because I didn't want to embarrass to fold, a hand that I thought, like, I actually think to myself, would I feel worse folding this and being wrong or calling it, And so I would say that I would agree that I've been in that position a lot, going, fuck, I'm on stream. Like, do I fold this? And even when I fold like a really big hand and I'm wrong, I take a lot of heat.
Yeah, I know. And it actually it changes your pre-flop ranges too, right?
Yeah.
So like, for example, you probably should be playing 2 like non-suited Broadway cards, right? But if you're not feeling it and you're in a private game, you just fold it. You're just like, you know what, I'm not gonna, I don't want to play King Jack because if I'm dominated, I'm gonna lose my stack, and I just don't want to deal with that. But it's harder to fold that hand on stream, right? And it's harder to be disciplined on stream because you think like people are going to call me a donkey or a nit.
Do people get in your DMs and criticize you for things you do?
No, it's been actually very overwhelmingly positive. I know I'm very lucky. The chat pros have been very nice to me, and like the people.
Well, they loved you after you fucking undressed me
because I was
publicly.
right. So that's
Well, maybe that was the other reason.
So yeah,
they would have loved you more if you called or just struck all in and then sucked out. Yeah,
gave the speech.
Yeah,
said I know you have kings. I'm gonna fucking beat you anyways.
By the way, were you freaking out? Were you like, this guy? Like when I was like, you have kings.
No,
I know you.
I can tell you what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking, this is the truth.
Yeah.
As soon as I bet 60%, 70% of my stack, as soon as I put it out, I know no one's going to want to believe this, but have you ever been in a position, I've done this a million times, where like I'll put a sizing out against somebody that's short stacked, and then I realize, what the fuck did I just do? I'm putting myself all in here, right?
Yes.
Or I'm doing this and I didn't realize the stack size. So I've done that 1,000 times where I'm just going, God, I'm so stupid. As soon as I put that out, I thought to myself, within about 2 seconds, 3 seconds, before you even said anything, what the fuck did I just do? Like, I either got to flat here and take all and double through, or I got to just shove and look like I have a weaker hand. As soon as I put it out, I knew. But that's just what happened, because like you're in that moment and you only have a certain amount of time to think, and I just didn't think it out right. I fucked up.
Yep.
And it cost me, you know, or whatever. That's why we're laughing about it and you're trolling me or whatever. But I've done that a bunch of times where I'll put a sizing out and I'll go, whatever. Just
by the way, it's also
up.
frustrating when you have ace king suited and you look at that and you're like, oh, this is cool. I'm probably going to win like 5-10 grand because I have ace king suited, right? And then this fucking guy 5 bets and you're just like, this is like, in my mind, this is like a $30,000 swing because like this guy obviously has it and I have to fold this. So it was very frustrating.
Yeah, that's when you got to YOLO and just be like, I'm going to fucking beat you anyway. And then you spike an ace.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's what would have happened.
If you're a professional, you would spike an ace.
So I'm glad
that is true.
I'm glad I just got the 6,000 because I'm nitty and I'm too scared. But so here's the thing. One time just so you know, yes, I 5-bet other times, and I made a 5-bet once against Zio, who's like totally a smart thinking player, and I 5-bet a king queen suited, and I can't remember what I had. I think he had kings or something like that. I had king queen suited, and he just slaughtered me for my whole stack. But it's really weird, and that's another time where like as soon as I did it, he thought for a minute because he's like, oh fuck, he's got aces.
Yeah, Zio,
there's no way he's 5-betting me. I got kings.
Zio's here right now. We can ask him.
Zio, speak up.
What do you?
Yeah, see, he agrees.
He nodded. Yeah,
he nodded. So, but that was another time where as soon as I 5-bet him, he didn't snap call with the kings because it was me.
Yep.
And all I could have is aces.
Quite the rep you've built for yourself.
Yeah. All I could have is aces, right?
Yeah.
So I figured I'd beat you to that. So I said that.
That's right.
And then when he tanked, I'm like, oh fuck, maybe I didn't fuck up. And then he called and he had kings. But my point is, as soon as I did it, I thought, what are you doing? He's only going to call if you're fucking crushed. Mm-hmm. It was the wrong hand at the wrong time against the wrong guy, but that would be another time where I put my chips in something. It was the reverse thing where I didn't have it. And as soon as I did it, I thought, why did I do that?
Yes.
It's like, I don't know if people understand that out there. Like, in this with the lights and the thing, and you realize people are watching, and you know, or you're running good or you're running bad, which like totally determines sometimes if you go zig or zag, and then you make a decision and you're just like, oh my god, please let this work out because I just fucked up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. That's right. It's a big element.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Most of our viewers are probably not showing up in like $400,000 Ferraris, bringing, I don't know what you paid for this, $800, whatever, and just this rich guy playing in private games
Is there
in
a
New
Ferrari
York.
out front?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, okay.
Did
I
you,
didn't even
is it
know.
the Lamborghini or the Ferrari?
I don't drive Lamborghinis.
I'm just fucking around.
Ferrari.
Lamborghinis are
I did
overrated.
not.
Is
I
it
did not
red?
see his car.
It's not.
color?
I didn't see
I
his-
drive a Tesla.
I didn't see his car. I'm just fucking
Oh,
around.
I thought you were serious.
No.
No, I'm fucking around. Can you not see when I'm leading up to a fucking around story?
No, because
what-
I don't pay attention to you.
So
You're
what I wanted.
irrelevant.
Do you want to
Go.
ask a question? So
Sure,
what
I do. I'll
what
ask
I
one.
want to ask
Yes.
is our viewers aren't privy to a lot of these private games. I've been to a few
Yeah.
really big ones and I saw some shit.
Yes.
But tell us like a fun story or some like DGen shit that you've seen that the viewers would like. You don't have to name names, but
Okay, this is something that just happened to me like a few months ago. So a lot of the games in New York are mixed, right? So they're all big bet, right? So they're not no limit, right? So no limit stud high low, no limit Omaha high low, no limit Omaha high, and no limit hold'em, right? Is usually the mix. And those are just like full degen games because you can always go for the low. Like basically there's an all in every single hand for like the entire session, right? And so there was, I was playing in a game, it was a bunch of friends. We've been playing in this game for, 10 years. And it was an Omaha hand. It was an Omaha high hand. And the guy to my right was betting into me. And it was the turn. And he bet, I think, 50,000 on the turn. And the pot at that time was, I think, 50. He bet pot size bet, right? And so the pot was 100,000 at that point. And I think I shoved for, I think, like 400,000 more or something effective, right? It was like a reasonable raise, right? And the guy tanked for probably about 5 minutes and then folded. And I lost my mind because I know that he folded the nuts, right? So he had the nuts straight. I also had the nuts straight, but I had a redraw to a flush and a higher straight. And I knew he didn't have the redraw because he just didn't. And he folded. And this is kind of brings me back to that you can just bust people's balls. We crushed this guy for the next like 6 hours for folding the nuts. He literally folded the nuts against me.
Because he didn't want to face the redraw.
And I was like, you are so bad at poker if you're folding there. And he's like, that's fine. I'm just bad then. And I'm like, you are fucking terrible. You should not be playing in this game. You need to do something else with your life. And then it was funny because every time I went to the bathroom, I came back and everyone would be like, he just told us his hand. And I'd be like,
right.
And it was very funny. I know that's not like the most like degen story. I don't really want to blow anyone up. Is the thing.
Yeah.
But it is like the atmosphere in these private games is you're all friends. You can talk as much shit as you want. You can go like get tilty. You can it's.
Well, I wish I could talk more shit, but the reason I don't is because I'm the owner of the show.
You used to do it so much. You were a lot better at the bike. You were a lot more fun to watch, right?
Yeah,
you would lose your mind.
Yeah,
you would,
I could act how I wanted to act. I didn't have to be in like not bad form, right? And now, everything I do, including winning, like I'll tell you what, we're a couple of weeks into this thing now that we talked about earlier, and I played Tuesday. I shouldn't have because I was exhausted. I literally like nodded off at the table because I was like up for 4 days. But I just thought, business as usual. I'm just going to play. And I played, and I can tell you I was scared to death to win because of this controversy. Because I'm like, anytime I win now, there's going to be this thing. But I wish I could be that player again and that I was at the bike because I had more fun. I could razz, I could bust balls, I could show my emotions, I could fucking stomp around. I sang, I trolled people. I enjoy doing that. And even now though, like I have to be careful because someone I like very much is Chris, but people don't understand that. They think him and I really have this like thing because we give each other so much shit. But even me, I have to water it down with him because even to this day, people are like, why is Nick such an asshole to one of his players? Like, why do these guys hate each other? And why do whatever? So it's, and not that I should like totally care, but because I'm extra scrutinized, I have to stand down. That's the reason I stood down on you. Like I was having such a bad day.
Yeah.
That like, I literally was going through the thing in my mind, like, I'm just going to fucking say what I want to say here, and I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. And I stopped myself like 4 times because I was fucking pissed.
It would have been a lot. It would have been a lot funnier.
It would have, yeah, I know.
It would have been a lot funnier if you lost your mind.
But I just kept thinking, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that.
Well, I'll tell you from now on, I can take it. You can say whatever you want to me at the table.
Totally.
I will never take it personally.
I was just thinking, like I just said, just keep thinking. Don't say nothing. Just sit there. I think I even said, even though I won and then I didn't realize like I meant it, I just go good hand or whatever. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I won. But, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just trying to go like good hand. Sorry. I don't know. Whatever. Like, fuck, dude, go. Yeah. I'm going to go get a sandwich. I'll be back in an hour. Like something, It was just, so, yeah, to your point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very normal to like shit on the guy across from you if he makes a terrible play like Nick did.
I was hoping you were like gonna tell some better stories,
I can't give
cocaine off of a prostitute's asshole, stuff like that.
Off of her asshole, not even off her ass?
No, you got to get in there. you got to fucking DJ.
You got to really yank it out of there, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
No Wolf of Wall Street, Quaaludes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was hoping for some DJ shit.
Like
that was like pretty standard.
I'm not gonna blow up these dudes that
Totally. I think
it's a very standard
keep your little
game.
black book in your pocket.
Very standard game.
Yeah, you're not Heidi Fleiss. Keep it in your pocket.
No.
Everybody went to bed at 9 p.m. Nobody drank alcohol. Right. All water.
How much of a high were you on when you made that call and you won? And you won that much that night?
I was like, you're talking about the Andy hand?
Yeah.
I was just happy that I wasn't posterized. Like the money was nice, but like.
Did you needle him after?
No, I think Andy imploded that night, so I didn't needle him. It's just like he was. He lost a lot that night. So it was like past the point where you should be needling someone. So. I just kind of
that's fair.
Yeah.
Who are the people that you're like frustrated to play against, or they get under your skin, or they put pressure on you?
Nick Vertucci, number 1, for sure. He's like, you're just such an old man coffee. It's like, I don't want to give this guy fucking money. Like,
what is an old man coffee?
Old man coffee is, you want to...
Nitty old dude who like...
Dude.
Just a crotchety old guy
who,
with
if
his
he's in the
pants up to his
hand,
tits?
he just fucking has it.
No, it's like, he's got aces. He goes to the casino.
He just waits for aces.
Brings his newspaper, brings his coffee, and he waits for aces, and that's it.
And he gets min value out of every hand.
And everyone folds when he bets. And he's he's like, look, I had aces. And he wins $20, and that's you.
You guys made a good fold.
Yes. And then
as soon as everyone folds to him, all the blinds, he like flips it over like
he's happy. He was like, look what I had. And it's like, and then he starts his own poker stream and calls it High Stakes Poker Productions. So him, number 1 for sure. Number 2 is Garrett, right? So Garrett, there's this element where we're on stream, right? So you can see everyone's hands. Thing about Garrett, which is crazy, and I know people don't see it that are watching, is you don't see how quickly and methodically this guy changes his leaks. He fixes his leaks. Okay, so Garrett has leaks in his game, right? And there have been times when he's sucked out on me, and I will like there was a hand when I had jacks, he had queens.
No, that was it, yeah.
And I flopped a set of jacks, he turned a set of queens.
Yeah,
and then he bet pot on the river, right? And that hand, I was so pissed that I knew he had it on the river when he bet pot, because he never pots the river when he doesn't have it. And in my rant, I was like, of course you fucking have it. You potted the river. Why would I fucking like...
Oh, you just told him.
And I told him his leak. And he, from that point on, he has been completely balanced with his... Like literally from that point, he's been completely balanced on his river bets for the last 3 months or whatever it is. And that's happened with other things too that I've noticed that I haven't like blurted out. Any leak that this guy has, he just fixes it. And I think it's because he seems to me like a very... process-oriented person, which I think this is like a longer discussion, but I think the key to success is process. And he clearly has a process when it comes to poker, and he can kind
discipline with the process, for
discipline
sure.
And process. And I think that the rate at which he fixes his leaks is better than any cash player I've ever seen in my life. So it's very frustrating to play with him, because you think you have him, like you think you have a certain read on him or a certain way that he plays, and then literally a week later it could just be wrong. And that's very frustrating. So,
well, Garrett will be the first one to tell you. We talked about this years ago at the bike. I don't know how we got on the subject, but there was a time where Garrett was overbetting when he didn't have it, but a lot.
Yep.
Like he just kept building that rep. And then there was like a week or two later, and he kept overbetting when he had it. It was like he was doing it for confuserment, right? And so we had this talk like a few weeks after that, and I don't know how it came up at the table, and I'm like, which one are you today? Who are you today? Are we building our rep off of, betting big when you don't have, like, did you do that last week to make me think this week you're not? Like, those things come into play, but he does that. And that's why you're like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah.
And you just flip and you make your decision from there. Now, of course, you try to, could he have, not have, what could, you go through all that, but it's at the end of the day, because of that balance and because he will adjust back and forth, you really have to flip a coin sometimes in those big decisions.
So it's interesting because there's a lot of like chat pro hate on Garrett. Or like in the Twitter comments or whatever it is about.
You mean lately or prior?
No, prior. I'm talking about prior to this.
Okay,
this
got
whole
it.
Thing. Just about his game, not about like how he handled this whole situation. But about his game, there's a lot of like, this guy couldn't beat like the 5-10 table at the Bellagio, right? And let me be categoric about this. If you are a 5-10 grinder at the Bellagio or at the Aria or one of these poker rooms, you are so much better than the average player that's playing on these streams. We know how, like, you are so good, right?
Yeah,
and you probably will win a lot if you get in that game, right? But Billy had a good point when he came on your podcast.
You're not getting in that game.
You're not getting in the game. You're just not getting in the game because you're a grinder that you're going to VTIP 4% and you're not going to get invited to games. And so there is a business to this that Garrett has really mastered, which is getting in these games to be able to play people that are not as good as him.
Yeah, so he's built up his brand, his popularity, his image, the way he interacts at the table he's really a nice guy, like you said, but it also is based off his business.
You know who else does that? Is Phil Hellmuth, right? So Phil Hellmuth gets in games he has absolutely no business being in because people want to say, I want to pot off Phil Hellmuth. Actually, I played with him before. People overcall him all the time because they want to win pots off him.
Yeah.
It's his personality of being that like kind of annoying guy that you want to crush. That is very positive EV for him, right? Because you just want to go after him. And Phil has made a very good career getting in games that he shouldn't be in, that he's way too skilled for because he's Phil Hellmuth and because
cash games.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
interesting.
Yes.
That's the same reason Antonio can build his own game.
Yes.
All these other crushers can build their own game because these businessmen and these people want to sit with one of the famous poker players, and they are willing to lose EV to do that and to take a shot.
Also, something that's interesting about Phil Hellmuth, actually listened to his episode with you.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about him is I have a lot of friends that are friends or that know him. Of the people that know him, universal love for this guy. Universal. Everyone that knows this guy personally loves him.
Yeah.
So I think that's like so interesting that there's such a difference between his public persona and like who he actually is as a person.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot, like I wore the Hellmuth folded shirt after that Mr. Beast game.
Yeah.
And I thought it was hilarious because he like, obviously he didn't like angle, but it's like, come on, Phil, you should know better.
Yeah, right.
And I got a lot of texts from friends being like, dude, this guy's actually like a really good guy. And you shouldn't like,
Well, you should do that because it was funny. But with your take, and I've said this often and I've taken heat for it, Phil Hellmuth is a nicer guy than some of these other guys that are praised. He really, at his core, is a nice person.
Mm-hmm.
Forget what he does on the felt publicly or his narcissism or maybe he, whatever does it on purpose, maybe he can't help it, whatever it is. But I always, even during that interview, have attested to the fact that this is a good guy. Every time I've had a talk with him, he's difficult. He's difficult in an interview. Mm-hmm. He's difficult in a phone conversation sometimes. He's difficult in person at times, depending on the subject. But at the end of the day, he's a lot better person than some of these other people that are out there that have, I'm agreeing with you.
You don't have to cry about Phil Hellmuth. We know you love him.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay. You're getting emotional.
Yeah.
Look,
How much-
this guy's been in poker. Sorry, but this guy's been in
You don't
poker
wanna
for
tell
like
me.
20 years, and a lot of these other guys have like Garrett's been in poker for so long. So we have to understand if they're shitty people, it would have come up. It would have surfaced by now.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about people that would have been very well known. They're shitbags like Garrett. Like he's taken a lot of heat lately. Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
No, not really. I wasn't. I interrupted you. That's the truth.
Hashtag stand
no,
up.
I was going to make a joke and say
How little of your brain is focused on this podcast right now?
Me?
Yes. Like I'd say what we have 1% of Nick right now.
He's so overwhelmed and inundated.
you're right.
There's no way you want to be here like talking to me.
Well,
right
I'll
now.
put it to you this way. I think that's a little bit of an overcall there, but but very good read. Meaning, it's like you're right. I have so much going on and so many things coming in and so much to deal with and that are, whatever that. But I do want to be here, and I'm not just saying that. Like I was really looking forward to.
I was very
our
much,
podcast with you. Like so I am looking forward to it, and was looking forward to it, and I am glad you're here. But it is a good take that like normally I wouldn't look at my phone.
Yep.
Very rarely. I've done it a couple times with some family stuff, but yeah, because my brain is in this mode for the last, 2 weeks now? Week and a half?
10
days,
10,
whatever
11
it's
days.
been, and it's consuming me. I mean, I'm not sleeping deep
Yep.
because I'm thinking and I want to get up and get back to work and everything else. So
I have to let the people know. So I did commentary on a Friday game that you were playing on. And you were the only player that came up and said hello to me. I'm not saying anyone else was mean or anything, but I thought it was just like, it said a lot about you. I was getting crushed by the chat pros.
I mean, I know you were getting
Destroyed.
crushed. I felt really, really
It's
bad for
okay.
you.
I mean,
It's
like I shouldn't have been doing commentary by myself. I usually do color commentary. I shouldn't have been doing a Friday game by myself.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It happened. And you came up and you're like, hey, it was nice to meet you.
Well,
Talk to me about the Mike Postle stuff. You were just, I could tell, genuinely a kind person.
he likes
I
inflatable
appreciate
dolls.
that. What's that?
You like inflatable dolls.
No, I think that there's probably like a small brain in there that's like very, active. And I think you're very intelligent. The stuff you talk about you're clearly smarter than Nick. And
I mean,
I think
it's not hard.
I know, but I think that you are, and I think that the way that you handle the Postle stuff was pretty awesome. And I don't know a lot of people that would have had this strength. Now you're doing it again. A little sus that this is happening again, but
there's like only so many live streams, right? And I just happened to be doing a podcast with a live stream owner, but it's he didn't even know I was affiliated with like the whole Postle scandal till after, which is crazy.
That's
I really
didn't. A little bit of a sore subject, I think.
Yeah, no. Before when I had her come in, we started the podcast. I really didn't know her role.
How has your thinking changed? Because you're clearly all over the place, right? Like the thing that one of the things that I think is good that you guys are doing is you're being fairly transparent and you're putting out shit as it comes out and as you, which I think that has to be the right move, right? Is just to kind of get.
There's no other move.
You'll get eaten alive by the poker community if you're not transparent, as we've seen with like some of Robbie's comments, which are like weird to me.
Right. So where's your head and how has your thinking changed since this started?
In what respect? Because I'm going to answer you whatever your question is.
So okay, this hand happens, this controversy. So when this hand happened, right? It was I saw the hand, and I was like, that's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. That's the craziest call I've ever seen. And I texted both Nick and Ryan. I was like, that's the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And obviously, I was on like a 3-hour delay, so I didn't realize the craziness that would kind of escalate from there.
Yeah.
And so from the moment that hand happens, and you get notified, like, hey, something's going on, or like, Garrett,
there's a situation.
There's a situation. How has your thinking changed as to where we are now?
Well, again, I want to ask you, thinking changed about the show, about life, about what?
Anything, kind of open-ended question.
Okay,
Where's your head?
Okay.
Where's your head?
Yeah, okay, where's my head? Okay,
Yeah.
so that I didn't know if you had a specific. I didn't want to go off on something.
No.
Well, first of all, I'll tell you, and this is not defensive. When you said like I think it's the right move, and you'll get so much shit if you didn't put it out. You know what? What's really weird is even when I put stuff out and keep my word, I still get shit. So like that's just, we were talking about it, and that's just the nature of the poker industry and the trolling aspect of it. And so even when that happens, it's you only get so much mileage out of it. Like I'm in the eye of the storm no matter what I do. Where am I at? I'll put it that way versus what I'm thinking. Where I'm at is that I realize that I'm in the middle of something that of course I have no choice but to deal with it. I have to. And so that's happening. And where I'm at is exhausted. I'm exhausted over it because I not only have to deal with if this happened or not, which is a big deal if it happened. I have to deal with the integrity of the show and the integrity of the owners of the show, which is out there. I have a lot of my people, rightfully so, being attacked because they should be scrutinized, but sometimes, maybe it goes overboard until we figure it out, but that's fine too, because that's the nature of this beast. So I'm just, I'm frustrated. When you came in today, I was probably at a real low point. I was in a low point. I'll just say it. I was in a low point because, I had, and I don't want to go deep into this. I really don't. So we're not going to dig into this, but I was at a low point because, I felt there was just a couple small things that I was disappointed in. And yesterday on our show, the 3-hour show I put out, that's when we recorded it. I upset Joey Ingram because of my take on it, and I tried to be like as politically correct as I could, and say these things. And I'm, like you said, I'm very sensitive. So he was watching the show today and was like clearly like upset that we talked about him for 10 or 15 minutes, and so like that bothers me. Like, even though I think I was like legit in what I was saying and I was really fair, because I'm the type of person that, like, there are some people out there, and I don't know if I can name a name because I can't think of it, but like there are some people out there that just could put content out, and I'm not saying him, I'm saying like in general, or they could just like, they could have a whole community after them, or they could, be taking heat from some of their peers, and they push through. Like, maybe they're more mentally like they don't give a fuck. I'm not that guy. I actually like Joey Ingram, so to even think he's a little upset with me upsets me. So that's when you came in today, you were like, dude, what's up? Like, are you even gonna be able to do this show? You look fucked up. Like, that's what my morning was. And then I think I'm like that because you put the pressure of the totality of the situation and the hours that I'm putting in and the effort I'm putting in, and it's like, it takes your bandwidth. By the end of the day, your battery just is to a nub. So I'll give Joey this credit too, in this sense that like he's potting for like 10, 12 hours. And so like if you catch him at the wrong time at the end after a 10-hour show, he might be more inclined to be cranky about it than he would if he was fresh. Well, I'm like that too. I'll give you an example. I made a mistake yesterday, and Alan Kessler, who I will say it online, I don't like him. And maybe if I got to know him, I would, and maybe I just don't understand. But when somebody like him just attacks everybody, in my opinion, but he put some down yesterday about a particular player, and I tweeted and said, hey, Billy, I'll pay your lawyer fees. Like, I should have never done that because I have no interest in Alan Kessler. I have no interest in suing him. Like, it was just a end of the night, battery really low, I'm fucking sick of all this shit, and like I snapped. And so where I'm at right now is I'll get my strength back when I feel good for a little while, then I'll work this to a nub. I got a million people contacting me with theories and this, and I have to work with my team and the attorneys and all this shit. And so it's like I'm getting more negative put into my system than I am positive in the last 10 days, which is just the way it's going to be. And I don't run good on negative, meaning like I have to, I talk about this thing called pattern interruption, where like when I feel a negative, I have to replace it with a positive, or I have to get in that positive space because that's how I'm optimal. But I don't have a second to get optimal, because the second I try to raise my bar a little bit, I get hit with 10 other things or accusations. I think it's the and don't mishear me. I know this has to play out this way. I know I have to take this heat, and I know people are going to have their opinions, but this is just me as a personal human being that just sometimes is like, fuck. Like, man, like if you were in my shoes, like, would you want to hear that? Would you want someone, but that I just need to grow up, right? And toughen up. And I'm pretty tough. Like, as sensitive as I am, I have really broad shoulders. I've been in business 30 years. I've been in really sticky positions, cash flow problems, businesses in trouble, litigations that I've had to deal with things. And so I usually have really, really broad shoulders. Now, it doesn't mean I haven't been sensitive in all those situations, but it just takes me a bit. I think I told you out in the other area, it's like, no, I'll be okay. I just need to go into a different place. So where I'm at is not a great place, but it's where I have to be because I'm dealing with it.
So if I could say something about that, like I look at this whole thing as a process that kind of needs to happen, and there's external pressures from, there's like trolls that are on the external side, there's the internal thing that they're trying to find the truth, right? And then there's people doing like real investigations, there's trolls, but like it's all a part of the process. And being part of a process and being being a person who wants to see the truth come to light, we have to accept criticism. Yeah. And sometimes that criticism is not always nice to hear.
Or valid.
Or valid, but it's still like you can't expect, and I'm not just saying you, but anyone who would be experiencing the same thing and being at the center of it, you can't expect people to not say, hey, what about this? You're right. I see this, like, have you considered this option? Because people are actually genuinely trying to get to the truth. And it's hard when you're at the center of it and you have a kind of a bias because you're friends with some of these people who are being criticized, and you are at the center of it and you believe nothing has been nefarious so far that you've seen. So it's hard to be criticized when you're like, hey, all I've been doing is trying to put out the best live stream.
I do think there might be nefarious situations here.
I'm saying from your perception, you haven't seen anything thus far.
No. I just
until we saw this video, right? And we still are trying to uncover what happened.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, it's like, it's not about me not seeing something nefarious or I have or haven't. It's more about sometimes it's like this. Okay, because I agree with everything you just said. It's like this for me, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. And this comes with the territory. So how everyone wants to do this, just keep doing it. What I have to do is probably, but I haven't done this, is I probably should tune it out. I probably should get off social media, and I probably should just do my thing and not let that, let me finish, let that fill me, because it does take me down, and maybe I need to work on it and get better at that, but that's who I am as a human, right? So, but for me, it's like, to your statement that, we have to accept that they're going to say, what about this, what about that? I promise you, I have no issue with that. The only thing that I ever have an issue with is if you just fire it off without doing a little bit of work first. Like, I don't want to get into what it is, but like, just like, there's been a situation recently where someone said, wow, what was this? Who handed this, whatever. Like, maybe just take an hour and figure out what that could be, like why someone took something and put it in their pocket. Like, yes, you can question it, but I think within a couple hours, you could have that answer if you contacted the right people and did your investigation. And then you could look at the tape, take those facts, and still talk about it and still bring it up if you want. But instead of bringing it up in a context of, ooh, look at that, like, you have access to all these people. Some of these people have access to all these people. Just find out first.
Can I give you some advice? Because you always give me advice.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you some advice right now.
Yeah.
When you hear voices criticizing, which I think is so good for people to be critical of things. That's how we have critical thinking, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But when you hear the voices, it's important to not give all of the voices the same weight. There are core people within our community who understand poker, who are critical thinkers, who are giving this an objective walkthrough. Those are the voices we should give the most weight to. The voices on the outside that are trolling us, that are taking things out of context, those are things you can't give as much power to or weight to.
Yeah.
That's all. And that's how I function, because I really don't want to live in a world where nothing is criticized and there's no critical thinking and there's there's no review of a process.
Well, it's really weird because when we started the stream,
we're taking over your podcast.
No, I think you enjoy this.
No, we need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we'll get back to fun shit.
Yeah.
So Double M mentioned, gosh, it was like you were really entertaining at the bike. Like, I wish I was back in that phase because I didn't take any heat. I was a fun player.
Yeah.
But you were also losing a lot.
At first, yes.
Yeah.
So I took no heat at all. And I stuck a little. There's people in there say some shit, and I'm like, well, whatever. But, it was whatever. And then once I decided I want to be better at poker, and then I have my own show, which is like, whatever. Like, I started taking a lot of heat. And that heat I was taking did affect me for a minute. But it's weird because it's like I figured out, and I realized, because it was new to me, that I figured out and it stopped bothering me before this thing happened. Like, literally, there's only like one or two things you can say to me, and I don't care if you're a troll or not, and you say it, you're out. You're fucking banned. I won't put up with it. But anything else, even that stuff probably used to bother me at first. I wouldn't want to justify it. Like, now you could say all that. You could call me anything you want. You could talk about my appearance. I don't care. I got to a point where I'm like, oh, fuck, I got this down. Like, I get it now. This is a next level. So this next level will even make me stronger. This next level of taking this type of scrutiny and these type of comments, when this is over, and it will be over, and I believe that, and we will be back to business and on our way, I will even be stronger for this. I know that because I know all my life experiences has done this for me. So this is just another piece of the puzzle that I have to deal with, and that I have to get stronger, and that if I ever deal with it again, I will be stronger. I'm just very transparent as a person. Like, a lot of people might sit here and go, and it's not the truth. Yeah, I'm fine. Whatever, I'll deal with this. I don't care. But they do. I'm just not that person. That even in our personal conversations, I'm very, I wear my emotions, I wear my thoughts on my sleeve. It's just who I am as a person. And so like, I'm not embarrassed to say like, this has been really hard on me, like extremely hard on me, like inside as far as my emotions. And, the trajectory of our business was on and it still is. I mean, our viewership's up 30%. As a businessman, I should love this, but I don't love this. I don't care about that.
Yeah, that's not what's important right now.
I know.
The viewership, yeah.
Yeah, it's not at all.
What would you, if you could have done anything or things differently, would you have done anything differently?
So here's what I would have done. Yes, that's a great question. From the start, well, I could tell you this. I wish Garrett didn't handle the situation like he did. I thought he should have got up and left and dealt with it later and let us figure it out. But this happened, right? But that's not your question. Your question's about me. I wish that I had done background checks on everyone. I still might have hired Brian. Okay, depending on what his exact thing was, because I believe in second chances. I can't say I would or wouldn't, but I wish that I had done that different. I wish that I had other protocols in place. I wish that I had protocols in place if something like this had happened, and that Ryan and I, because I wasn't there, but that Ryan, would only have come down in the booth for a second, not let it go any further than that and say, whoever wants to stay, go back and play. Because, a lot of people say, oh, there's an accusation. You should have shut your stream down immediately and you should still be shut down. Well, wait a minute. We don't know anything happened. So that's not in my opinion, now everyone can feel the way they want. It's not a fair assessment of what I think should have happened because we still don't know. I wish that I would have taken a minute and composed myself and been stronger in certain situations that I've been dealt with. Like at one time I went on Joey's show and Alan was on and I got kind of peppered and I was tired and I got a little bit defensive and I looked defensive and then I had to call back in when he was off and say, I want to exit differently. I fucked up. I kind of reacted when I shouldn't have. I shouldn't have tweeted yesterday to Alan Kevs. I shouldn't have done that. That was just pure human emotion of like, I've had enough, right? And it was a mistake. Yeah, I wish if I could do everything over again, I think I'm doing a lot of things well, but if I could do everything over again, I would do a lot of little things differently that wouldn't have put me in a position to feel so uncomfortable or like I fucked up, So yeah, I do a lot of things different, but that's the thing. Like Ryan had no experience with something like this happening. Like he did the best he could when he came down to like calm everyone down. We probably shouldn't have spent that much time with them off stream. He shouldn't have got involved and he should have just said, Garrett, if you really feel this way, leave and let's figure this out later and we can do an investigation. He should have done some things. I should have when I got there, maybe, there's so many things, man, but like when you haven't done it and you are trying to do the right thing, sometimes it's just not the perfect move.
I hear, look, I think it's part of the element here is when you have something like the show that grows as quickly as it did, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it gets away from you, right? Like you're not built as a company yet to be as big as you were,
yeah.
and to be kind of as much on the national stage as you were when this happened. So
in less than 12 months, we became the #1 poker show
right.
with literally millions of views and clicks. Right. And that's no excuse. I am probably really upset with myself for a lot of those things, like not having people, I think we were doing a lot better than everywhere else when it comes to no phones, no smartwatches, no this, no that, whatever, delays, this. But we really
Do you think that you could have prevented this?
Okay, I'll answer it to you this way. I think that well, first of all, we don't know there's a this.
That's true.
Okay, so I'm not saying we don't think that or you don't think that.
There's alleged this.
Okay, so I just want to be clear, right? Because in fairness to another party, when you say, can we prevented this? I think we could have prevented how it was handled from the very get-go, but to prevent this suggests that there's a this. Until there's a this, I'm not saying there's a this because I think that's the fair thing to do. And if no one likes that, I'm sorry, that's how I roll. And if there is a this, I'll make sure everyone knows there's a this. But I think that we could have been, of course, we could have been a lot tighter with our protocols, our system, everything else in retrospect. I am never going to come onto a mic, this one or any other one, and try to justify something we did that wasn't optimal. I think in our show we have put out, that's today, we recorded yesterday. I think maybe you asked me about like backgrounds or something, and I just said I fucked up.
If you did a background check on your employees.
I didn't, I fucked up. Because I had hundreds of employees in this building you're in right now, and I didn't do background checks on them. I didn't. I had hundreds of employees. I didn't do that. I don't know, like looking back on it, maybe that's just a different business. I should have, right? Because of the sensitivity to it. And, but I'm just never the type to back away from anything when I make a mistake, because I do feel A, I should own it. And B, I think people respect when you lean into something versus try to like wiggle out of it. And, so yeah, like, I don't know if we could, if there isn't it, do I think we could prevent it? I think we could have made it a lot harder. Yeah.
Who do you think is going to play you in the movie about this?
Well, there will be a movie about this, and I'm going to play me.
No way.
Nick, shut the fuck up.
It's going to be Meatloaf. It's
There's no way you'd be a good actor.
Meatloaf.
It's going to be Meatloaf.
So
becoming
Margot Robbie will play Valerie.
So my question to you is the closer I get to you, the more I have to like be trolled. Say yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I just want to make sure.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
That wasn't like a defensive, is this the way it's... No, this is where you say, yeah.
Yeah, that's
okay.
right.
Okay,
that's
good.
Right.
All right.
So
when Meatloaf... Meatloaf died, dude. Recently.
It's all CGI. They're going to CGI Meatloaf
we could work
to
with
play
the CGI.
You. Yeah, they're going to
the
CGI
virtual
him.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I bet you there will be a movie.
A blow-up doll will play me. Just doing the podcast with you.
And then I'll be a stuffed pepper stung by a bee.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, are you going to be playing on the stream anytime soon?
Yes. So I played last Friday. I'm going to play this Friday as well.
Good.
Which is, I got to tell you, the game is a lot more fun without Garrett. It's great. It's a lot more
You're
fun.
being serious?
I'm being dead serious.
Well, everyone wants to get Garrett out of the game because
Garrett's
he's
so fucking good.
Yeah.
He's really good. And so it's when you have a really good player at the table and then he leaves, the game gets looser and it's more fun. It's just like, it's just
You think
that.
there'll be more action now?
Did you see the game on Friday?
I did.
I put a $12,000 straddle out. So there's yes, there's
right.
more action, right? You're not like
Yeah.
you're just not on as much on edge, right? It's like he's really that good, and like he's got a lot of haters, and I get it. Like there's a chance that there's some guy in the 2-5 table at the Bellagio that's better than him, but he's really fucking good. And
Right.
so
the 2-5 table at the Bellagio.
Yes.
No, the 10-20 game at the Bellagio is the hardest game in the country.
It's awful.
Yeah.
So I play in the back room at the Bellagio, and then there was one time after the game broke, I sat down at the 10-20 game that's like up on the you go up there.
Yeah, I know.
And I think that I was the only guy with a VPIP above like 5%. It was just like 7 other guys
hardcore
sitting there
grinders.
just like with their headphones on, with their glasses on, and I was like, I get it, but this.
You want to hear a funny story?
Yes.
It's not that funny, so don't let me build it up. During the WSOP, this last time I was there, I went to the Bellagio, and I played the 10-20. So now the game even got worse, right? And so what I noticed after like 20 minutes is, oh my God, I'm the loosest player at the table,
Yeah,
okay?
that's
Because
right.
I still, compared to that,
Yes.
and then I thought to myself, and it almost was like a Garrett thing, like I didn't blow up and do things stupid, but I thought to myself, oh my God, and I ran over that table and booked a really big win because it's like, as soon as I 4-bet, everybody
Yeah, that's
folded,
right.
even if they had kings.
That's right.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I realized, oh, I'm the other guy now.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah, you're Mr. Splashy.
Yeah, I was
you're
Mr.
You're Mr. Splashy.
Splashy at 25% VPIP. Yeah.
You order like a martini,
These guys are like, this guy's out of his fucking mind. Yeah, it was crazy, man.
Holy fuck, he plays ace king not suited.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it's like in there. It really is. And so
Yeah, it's crazy.
Shout out to the pros who are actually beating that game. You guys are the best.
They're very, very, very good.
You'll never get in any games,
Yeah.
but you guys are the
yes,
best.
but you are
You have to start your
objectively
own-
the best poker player.
If
on
you
better
want to
than
get in a
Garrett.
game like this, you have to start your own stream.
Yeah, start a
Exactly.
stream, get like 100K viewers.
That's right. If you
Hey,
want,
I put $500,000 in this thing. I'm playing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm playing. This is my game. I have fun. This is my social life. Like, when it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever day I'm playing, and I'm in here working, but I know I'm leaving at 3 to get to the game, I'm fucking excited.
Right.
Like, I get to go and troll Chris and jab around and get in like tough spots, and it's just fun, you know?
I've made a half mil,
love
so
it.
thank you for starting it.
You're welcome.
Yes,
You're
it's
welcome. And you
wonderful.
don't even need it. You're like probably north of like, what, 500 million net?
We don't,
Oh, really? You
no,
don't
we
want to talk about this, but you want to talk about everything else,
we
huh?
don't talk
Oh,
about
but you
it.
want to talk...
I think it's gauche to talk about money. You don't want to
I
talk
do
about
too.
money.
That was more of...
Is $100,000 nothing to you?
No, of course not. If you are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
You know why I'm
It's
asking you that,
crazy.
right?
Yes, that's a lot
Are
of
you
money.
self-made?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that's why it's a lot of money to you.
Of course.
Because this is the other thing.
You
like,
think if you're a trust fund kid, it wouldn't be a lot of money to you?
I went to college with a lot of trust fund kids, and they have infinite money, and they don't feel anything.
they don't feel it, right?
They don't feel it at all.
So, Valerie, let me tell you.
I grew up as a poor immigrant. I
you
have no
play-
idea about these kinds of things.
If you play against that guy in his home game, not that he's a trust fund guy, but he didn't care about money, or you play with someone that hasn't made their own money, there is a huge difference. Myself, I'm K through 12. I came from nothing, and I lost everything 1 to 1.5 times. I have such a value for money that, like, it's like people tell me, like, because, you know, like maybe Ryan knows what I'm worth, okay? I would never say like you. I think it's douchey. But Ryan's like, what's your problem? Like, you play like it's like your bankroll's on the table. And I'm like, you don't understand, Ryan. $100,000, like if we just talked off stream, we're like, okay, we're fine if we lose 100,000. It's not that big of a deal, but it's a lot of money to us because we earned it. And for me, like, I've earned that money, and it was such a grind to do it in some cases. And then when I lost it, it's like I just won't go out there and just fucking light $100,000 on fire just for my own entertainment. I'm just not built that way because I know what it's like to be broke, and I know what it's like to have it and then be broke again.
So, you know, it's funny. I hope he doesn't get angry that I'm telling this story. I don't think it's like a crazy story, but so Garrett drives the same car that I drive, right? He has a Model S, right? I have a Model S Plaid, which is it's like $20,000 more or something like that, right? And like mine's, I have like rims and stuff, so it's like whatever. But the point is the difference in the base price is $20,000. And I asked him, I said, Garrett, why didn't you get the Plaid, man? It's so much better. And his answer was $20,000 is a lot of money. And
right.
He's right. He's right.
That's it.
But I, like, it gave me a little insight where I'm like, I've seen this guy, you know, bluff, you know, 6 figures multiple times. And yet in his real life, he's like, I'm not going to spend 20 grand if I don't have to.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just interesting that you have to change that mindset so much when you're sitting at the poker table to be successful.
You do. And if you can't, it's going to be hard to be really a
So that used to be one of the biggest leaks in my game is, and I see it with some of my friends, where, and I tell them this, where you think if you're worth more than the guy across from you, you can bully him, and that money means less to you than it does to that guy.
Yeah.
And so that's edge, and that's not edge
No,
at all. In
it's
fact,
not.
that's like opposite edge.
Yeah.
If money means less to you at the poker table, I've personally found that you will lose a lot more than you should. If you think that you can, because you don't care about money as much as that guy,
that's right,
that you can kind of run him over or whatever it is, you're going to lose. And I've seen that I play with a lot of my friends who are very, very much richer than I am, and they don't care about blowing, you know, $200, $300, $400, $500 in a session, and
$100,
and yeah, $100,000,
$100,000, yeah, okay, got it, got it.
Our viewers probably don't play in the same types of games.
What I'm
as
saying
you,
is,
so
I'll
clarification.
be like, so I'll tell you a story. So one of my best friends in the world, this is the guy that is, he's gonna know I'm talking about him. He's the guy that's also not allowed to play blackjack anymore. We were playing in the online game, and this was during COVID, and all of a sudden he went all in for like $200,000 with something like 6-2 offsuit or something, like some like just insane move, and I called him he obviously got stacked, right? I called him on the phone immediately after that hand, and I was like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, what's going on? And he goes, oh, sorry, like, my wife just came in and yelled at me, and I like didn't really know what I was doing. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, this is crazy, man. Like, you need to not be playing in this game if you think that, like, it doesn't, if 200 grand doesn't matter. Like, you cannot play. Right. Because that's just, it's a lot of money. So, yes. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And there's a book that it's called The Millionaire Next Door, and it's a book written a long time ago, and it's basically about like like there's guys out there that have a lot of money and they spend a lot of money and their personal expenses are so much. And I mean, if you're really, really, really deep, maybe whatever. But a lot of folks, like if their income stops, they're like a year away from being fucking busto, right? And you would think they're like worth everything. And this book is basically about the premise of like living so far under your means. So if anything like that happens, like this guy in the book probably drives around in this type of car that's not the $20,000 upgrade, lives in this kind of house that's nice, but it's not the mansion he could live in. And so like I've adopted after, like when I first started my businesses, I like was a young kid. I didn't come from anything and I blew this tech business up and I'm like, yeah, driving a Hummer, a third car, spending this, building shit, putting $200K into my landscaping. And then like the computer industry imploded and I went millions in debt and I'm like, what the fuck can I do with a fireplace out in my backyard? Like that doesn't matter to me right now. What matters to me is, fucking paying, feeding my family. And so it's like over the years of getting wisdom, that's where I've become more nitty. Like I've just become nitty in my life. Like I just, I'll drive a nice car. I have a truck. I have a nice car too, but that's it. Like I don't want to like put myself in that position because like I've been there before and I'm probably at a point where I don't have to even worry about that, but I can't get it out of my head because of my life experience, and
I am nowhere near the two of you probably financially, but I will say that like I don't let stuff own me, if that makes sense. Like you're talking about being thrifty. I'm very thrifty with my money. I'd rather invest it than like buy a pair of like $500 shoes.
Yeah.
And I feel like I see a lot of my friends who, like you say, are living above their means or are month to month. They're making $300K their month to month because
it's crazy, yeah.
Because stuff owns them. And I hate the thought of that.
Yeah.
I don't like having debt. I like having things paid off and living within my means. And I don't hang out with people who would judge me for like driving a Honda Civic. I don't drive a Honda Civic. But if I did, I don't hang out with people who give a fuck about what wealth I have or don't have.
I'm afraid of Honda Civics. There's a reason.
Yeah, I know.
You know the reason. Yeah. So when you bring up Honda Civic, I get a little nervous.
Yeah, he gets a little. He just got a little.
I mean,
chub.
one day I'm gonna
Either
pull
that or
up.
aroused.
He got a chub.
I got
One
aroused.
day I'm gonna pull up in the studio with a Honda Civic and be like, "Do you want to check out the trunk?"
Yeah. I'm like, no, man. I believe it. It's spacious.
Oh,
just
don't
so I
worry
can-
about those plastic bags.
Come on in. Come in.
They mean nothing.
So gross.
Here, put this cloth over your face. You'll breathe better.
Yeah. Drink this.
Yeah.
That's the ending of the movie about this whole thing. And it's gonna. Yeah.
I have meatloaf in the Honda Civic truck. Or trunk.
All right.
Great. You too. It's really nice spending time with you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least you're
It
laughing.
builds up my confidence.
It's good. This is a good little like break for you right now.
Yeah.
I've already called your lawyer. I'm getting the inheritance. So.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. There. Take it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I can't believe you gave back your equity so quickly in the company.
Well, the rats
I didn't-
scurry when things get tough.
Might be a little.
I don't like responsibility. I just want to be a free agent. I want to play in the big games privately where no one can see me fold ace king not suited.
Yes, that's right.
What do you want me to say to it?
No, I don't want you to say anything. You usually talk so much. I just figured you were going to continue.
Look, it's not
Actually, that's a good point. Do you want to sell any equity in your company right now? You're distressed right now. Like you probably don't want to deal with this stuff.
Hostile takeover.
No, you just do you if you
20% on the dollar.
Do you want it? Would you sell equity in your company?
Like 10% for 20 million?
No, like not 10% of 20 million.
Oh,
but like
well.
you don't have to deal with this stuff. What if I take over your Twitter and like decide to you can just go on the beach
you
or
taking
something.
over my Twitter would be great because you would just troll me worse.
It'd be great.
I'm at home crying.
I put lotion on before I go to bed.
Yeah. My Twitter just got hacked 2 days ago.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah. So
Did they
that
release
was
the
fun.
nudes?
Thank God I have nothing in there. I swear. Like talk about Bink in the river. I had nothing in there. I don't do anything. Like I know that sounds crazy, but like I had nothing in there, which was so cool. There's a couple conversations about this situation. Nothing that's bad, and because I didn't do anything, like there isn't anything but me just trying to investigate and asking questions. So whoever's in there, if you have it, put it out. But it was a really eerie feeling, though. It freaked me the fuck out.
Are you both surprised at how open, like people are talking about this, like as in you, like wouldn't you think in something like this, everyone's lawyers would just say, don't don't shoot a podcast, don't stop the
My
stream.
lawyer is going to kill me over yesterday's podcast, and today I didn't tell her.
Okay.
And the reason she I didn't tell her is because I would have been told not to do it. And I may have been able to talk her into it because she understands, but you know how lawyers are, like, they don't want you to say anything. But if I sit here and sit on my hands and don't put out information, or don't answer a question, I just don't think it plays well. I'm being very careful when you said this, I'm saying, I don't know if there's a this. And honestly, even if I wasn't in the eye of this, I would say that too, because that's just how I roll. Like, until there's something proven, like at least more than a reasonable doubt, I just don't want to put anyone in that position,
One of the things I saw, and of course my only frame of reference is the Postel saga, and you're talking about getting lawyers, is like people's responses, like doing a postmortem on everything, right? And seeing people's responses, and there were genuine responses of outrage. And I think those people were like shocked that there was some cheating going on or cheating allegations at the time. But I remember like calling Mike Postel the day after I posted, and he didn't answer. And then he texted me, he's like, "Oh, my lawyer doesn't want me talking to you." And I was like, "You fucking lawyered up? What the fuck are you doing?" And I just think it's interesting. Like, Brian got a lawyer. I think it's interesting that he got a lawyer. Like, why would you get a lawyer if you're not doing anything? Sorry, I know that we're like in the middle of an investigation, but like, to me, that's what I'm thinking. And so even just getting a lawyer, to me, or as like Robbie got, what did she get? She got like a PR team or like a publicist. She said she got a publicist. Mm-hmm. So fucking weird to me. It's such a weird response to this.
You think,
no, I don't think it is.
I don't think that's weird.
To me, it is. Like, I guess I think about it in a way of, if I was accused of something, because I would never do something like this, I'd be like, look at the hands. Like, I didn't do anything. I have nothing to hide. Like,
well, go ahead.
I don't know.
You're saying you wouldn't give the money back, is what.
I wouldn't have fucking given the money back. I would have danced around the table and be like, yeah, I would have celebrated.
Yes, exactly.
I would have torched him online forever, because it would be like the highlight of my life.
That is the normal human response to being accused of cheating, if you're innocent, is to get extremely angry and say, "Are you fucking kidding me? I just beat you. You think I cheated? Like, go through the tape, do everything."
And I'm not giving back the money,
there's no
bro.
fucking way I'm giving back this money, because I am innocent. And so, but maybe I'm weird.
No, I would never give the money back. If I was innocent. What I will say is, the reason I don't think it's crazy is because use Robbie, use Brian, use anyone, doesn't matter. Any name doesn't matter. I'm just giving an example. If somebody is in this, if they are innocent, I could see why they would have representation, and if they are guilty, I could see why they would have representation. Because sometimes, professionals can make sure they cover you, even if you're innocent, that you don't put yourself open to scrutiny for this, or if you're guilty, for sure not to say something. But I think we could all agree she hasn't listened to anybody. Yeah. I don't care who she hired. Like, we've talked about this. Like, she's
that's what
really
I'm saying.
out there.
Is that people are going on Joey's show.
She's out there slinging it.
Everyone's out there.
Yeah.
Everyone's out there.
I'm using that as an example, but like, I'm saying just like a general response to everything. I think there were some people who were a part of the Stone saga that like had a very awkward response to me, that were angry about talking to media, and I thought that they would want to get to the bottom of it. So I'm just saying, like, I watch everyone's responses, and like, based off on their responses, I can kind of tell potentially if they like it would like signal me to think maybe they had something to do with it. Let me look into this.
I actually don't know. Have you been public on your stance at all? I don't know.
I think I'm cleared that I think there was potential for cheating. Like, I'm leaning more towards that there was cheating. But again, I can't say 100% because like, there's still an investigation going on.
That's why this is such a big story, right? Is that it's just, there's more information that keeps coming out, and you can never say 100%, but you can say 99%.
And I've been honest that I've been going through every single hand that she's played, and I have a spreadsheet, and I'm just about to noodle through that data and kind of like say what I saw.
Yeah, and yesterday when Veronica and I met before the show we did, she came in to town, and we sat down, and she's like, "We need to talk about this. Like, can I say what I feel?" Like, not, she's gonna anyways. And she said if I told her she couldn't say what she felt, if I told her to suppress anything, she was gonna probably not do the pod anymore, like that type of thing, right? But she said that, and I said, "Listen, say whatever you want. Like, people think she's like kind of simping for me and just like, oh, they're saying all this, oh, she's doing this. It's not true. Like, I know for sure that Veronica would be the first one on my jock if I did something, and even if she loves me or not, she would expose it and she would be on the other side of it. And it's the same thing. Like, she could sit here and say whatever she wants to say about her opinion, and even though it's not good for me or my show if something happened, I still don't want to suppress that because she has every right to do that, and so do you. You even said you think there's something really funny here, and great. And told you too, like, just say what you want, like, it's fine. But I'm going to be me, and I'm going to, because I am the one that's in the middle of it. You know, I told Valerie, Veronica, Vanna, I really don't even remember what your name is. I go to my phone.
I also don't.
I go to my phone to text her, and I type in Valerie, and I'm like,
just
fuck,
call me
I need to change it because it's
blonde
Veronica.
bimbo blow up doll.
Yes, that's right. With
BBB.
Yep. And so, I forgot what I was saying.
You're just saying, say whatever you want, and that Vicky can say whatever she wants.
Yeah, so Vicky could say, Vanna, they can all do whatever they want, and it's just like, but for me, this is what I was gonna say. But for me, like, I told her yesterday that when this is over, and I'm talking like really over, if she wants to come back on the show with me, or you do, or anyone, and you want to ask me what I thought before, you know, we get to the result, I will tell you which way I lean. If you want to ask me what I think of any individual person, I'll tell you what I think of that person, regardless of minister of guilt. The same thing about anyone. I just can't do that right now because me saying something without knowing the truth is reckless, and it will go so far to either make somebody look wrong if I think they're wrong, or right if they are wrong. And so that is not the right thing. So that's the only thing I'm taking the middle on, is because I don't know. And I don't want to be that guy, and I don't want to be the one who's, you know, making those accusations for innocence or guilt, either way, to anybody. And I think I might give my opinion if I wasn't the one, that it wasn't my show, but I still would be very careful, because God forbid she's innocent and this is it's happening to her, and God forbid she's guilty, and you know, and it was the other way I said it. So we just have to wait and see. And I swear to you, I told Veronica this yesterday, I hope that in like the biggest blessing to me would be the true answer comes out, that it's like totally for sure, and I can just get the fucking thing out and say it. Whatever it is, no matter how bad it is, you know, for my side, not my side, and that we can deal with it as a community. We can make the changes, which we're going to make, and we can fucking move on and play some poker again, you know, like without the distraction. That's what I would really love to happen. I want the truth. I'll tell you this, I want the truth more than you do.
I believe that.
Yeah, right? Because like everything's riding on it for me, whether it happened or not.
I guess the only criticism I have, and I brought this up yesterday, but you didn't watch it, is the incentive for the truth may not align with his need for wanting the business to stay open, right? There might be something so nefarious going on that may be internal, if it happened, that may shut down the live stream. Mm-hmm. And so it always concerns me when the need for truth doesn't align with the, you know, business owner. You know,
it's funny. My wife is the same way, where if I tell her something that she might not want to hear, she thinks I'm telling the truth. But if I tell her something nice, she's like, wait a minute, is that really true? And it's like that. It's right. Where it's like, if something comes out that's extremely damning for the show, then by nature, that's much higher likelihood of being true. Right, because it's damning for the show. Yes. Versus if something comes out and it's like
good
kind
for
of
the show,
exonerates you, then people are gonna be like, well, you know, they ran the investigation. And
I think when you say you, it has to be delineated between like the person that is Nick that plays on the show,
I'm talking about the show,
and the owner of the show.
I'm talking about the show
because the person that is Nick may feel things and think things about the situation that he can't talk about because he is the owner representing the show. Right?
Yeah, and I think what my answer was. Tell me if this was right, because this is what it's a blur to me even yesterday, but I know this is my answer today. Hopefully it's the same, is no matter what the truth is, I'm going to bring it out if I know it. And if it is so much that it would put me in that position, then so be it. Because what I'm not going to do is suppress something, have it come out, and then ruin my reputation. I'm not going to ruin my reputation even if I have to go do something else. I don't think it's going to come to that, no matter what the answer is, no matter how nefarious or not nefarious. I don't think that will happen. Now, of course, if it's me or if it's Ryan, show's over. We know that. Like, yeah. But that's, again, I'm sorry, but I know me, and I know I wasn't involved in this, so I'm not worried about it at all. I'm not even worried about that. Everything else, I'm just going to try to figure it out. And, as long as here's how I always live my life. Like if I do the wrong thing and I have a bad result, I usually have a tough time recovering. It takes a long time. If I do the right thing and I have a bad result, even in poker, if I know I made the right move and I still have a bad result oriented, I can live with it. When I make a really big mistake and I have a bad result, it really fucks me up because I made that mistake. This is the same thing here. I'm not going to put myself in that position. I'm, at like the twilight, like I'm at an age where like I'm not going to put myself in a position now. I'm just not going to have any regrets over this. I'm not. Like, do I regret in a small micro sense not having this protocol, not having that, not making sure we did this? Yes, but I'm talking the macro regret. I'm not going to have a macro regret over this. I'm not going to put myself in that position. Just like that.
Well, look, I appreciate both of you being open about this. I think it's like there's a lot of incentive to not talk about this. And so I think it's important that we are talking about it.
It wasn't easy.
Not for me. I was going to say, not for me.
Yeah.
Like I value the truth over like any sort of monetary.
I'm talking about from the
clout
perspective of the show.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's not good. The more this is talked about, if something did happen.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in that position, this is redundant from yesterday, but when I was in that position the other day when the GM said, "You got a minute?" And I said, "Sure." And I was sitting with Doug and Ryan. He said, "Could you come over here?" And I walked over and we talked. And he's like, "We got some video." And I'm like, "Fuck yes!" Like okay, like no matter what it is. And he goes, "Yeah, it's of Brian palming 3 chocolates off Robbie's stack." And I'm like, "Okay, what else?" He's like, "That's it." I'm like, "Fuck." Shit, because I still don't have the problem solved, but now I got this, and how this is it. And even if there is no this is going to look like there's a this because there's this, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, like this is horrible for everyone, right? And so now I'm sitting there for a second, and I said to the GM, I know I'm going to do something crazy right now, but I want to go over and not only, obviously I have to tell Ryan, but Doug's sitting there. I want to tell him. He's like, "You do?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to tell him." And so he goes, "All right, I'm just going to trust whatever you want to do." I said, "Yeah, because I'm going to get this out, and I can't like get it out later. Like we could have sat on it until later, and did the investigation." And Doug was there. I can't remember if he saw the hand. I can't remember if he came into the back room with me or not. So I don't want to say because it was such a blur to me, some of this shit. But I think he might even, and if I'm wrong, just please know that I'm not remembering. I think I allowed him back in to see it. And if that's not true, then I take it back because I can't remember. But, I went to him at the table and both of them, and I said, "This is what I just heard." And Doug's reaction was like, "Oh my God." And I'm like, "I know." And he goes, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, I'm going to do what I said I was going to do. I'm going to bring it out, and I'm going to deal with it. And I don't care how bad it is for us. I have to, because this is just something that has to come out. And I said, all I ask you to do is just wait until I put it out. I need a few hours. And I had to get a statement together, and that was that.
What are the circumstances? You said you might even hire him back. What are the circumstances?
Who said that?
You said you might hire Brian back.
Never said that.
No, he said he still might have hired him even if he had a criminal record initially.
Okay, I'm glad that I said that because
oh my God, no. Never hire him back. No, never in a million years. I wouldn't put him anywhere near anything.
Got it.
What I'm saying is, like, if I ran someone's background and they had a DUI,
I understand.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I don't know. But
you're
like,
saying you still might have hired him even if you ran the background check.
If it's a kidnapping, which we know could be him keeping his son from
if it's armed robbery, it's cool.
Yeah. Murder 2 is, it's cool.
It's not what I mean.
Yes. No,
I know it's funny.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, it just
I heard
means,
you wrong then.
Yeah, you heard me wrong. It just means that, like, it means what it means.
Yep.
Yeah, but I take responsibility. I take responsibility for not knowing.
Are you going to play again?
See, that's the thing. I'm marinating on it. So If I play again, it's supposed to be Tuesday, and here's how I feel about it. First of all, I don't know if I'm in the right mental place to play.
You should definitely play Friday. with you in this headspace,
you're greedy.
It would be awesome.
You're so greedy.
It would be awesome.
I would agree with
I'll
Double
tell you
M.
what, you blow up on me like that Friday, and I'm a fucking,
Double M,
are you going to wear a bulletproof vest?
You get
You're becoming one of my favorite players. And you know what? I agree with you in this instance.
I think so too.
I'm a pretty good shot, so if you wear like a vest, I'll get it in center mass. You'll probably live.
This is crazy. We're making
Could you
a really
imagine what they're
crazy
going to say
turn.
now about like what
just
I said?
threatening one of your players.
Yeah,
I
threatening
actually
Double M.
I feel okay about it.
In his defense, he gave you a bulletproof vest in the whole scenario.
I'm giving you a shot.
That's true.
I'm giving you a chance.
That's all I want. I just want to chip
give me
in a
2
chair.
steps.
The
That's
only
all I
reason
need.
it's not the other way around is because we can't get bulletproof vests around his fat belly.
Well, this is my
Yeah.
bulletproof vest.
He wears one under his medium. You know they make T-shirts in large, right? You don't have to buy medium the
This
whole
is
time.
a double X,
You
bitch.
just
Really?
You can go in to.
And it still doesn't cover that up, huh?
You fuck.
Do you do anything other than curls at the gym? Do you just go and just only do curls? Is it just always bicep day?
That's
is
it.
it 5 days biceps?
That's it.
And then
When are you going to start working out?
I stopped like a year ago. I need to start working out
It's
again.
only been a year?
It's been.
You don't do legs. You have shorts on.
His legs are
No,
twigs,
my
right?
my legs are no good.
No, I saw you come in.
Yeah, my legs are
Yeah,
no good right now.
yeah, so.
It's the COVID really fucked me up when it came to the gym.
Oh, okay. It's COVID's fault. Yeah, that's why.
I used to be a Greek god, but not as much.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like a
We
Roman
all
god.
thought that watching you on the live stream. Yeah.
So you know how it is.
Yeah. No, I should spend more time with you guys. It's been great.
Yeah, I can tell you're enjoying yourself.
I'm really having a good time.
We should do this for at least 2 more hours.
Yeah, because we should. All right. Well, we went pretty long today. We went 2 hours because we had a lot to talk about. This was a great show. We had some fun, and then we had some seriousness. I do appreciate the input, and I like the way the direction the show went because we had some fun. You guys basically had some fun at my expense. That's always fun, and we talked about some serious stuff. So listen, man, we both really appreciate you coming in, and I've been looking forward to this one. We should probably do this again too when this blows over and we can really get into some
I would
trolling.
like to. I also want to give you your gift, which hasn't come yet, and I think that you're going to really.
Do you want to tell everyone what it is?
It's a necklace that says Valerie. It's a gold necklace that says Valerie, and I think
I will
That's
wear
awesome.
it
I think
all
it's going
the
to be
time.
awesome when you win the main event wearing that. It's going to be
I
great.
told
I'm glad
Valerie
you-
when this first happened, when I called her Valerie instead of Veronica, I said, believe me, in 12 months or less, which way less, that you will be Valerie. Like
Yeah.
Veronica will no longer exist, which is probably a good thing because she hasn't really done anything great with the Veronica thing. So this is a new start. It's fresh.
Yeah.
Just a mediocre human. Yeah.
That's
So
right.
Valerie does a lot better than I do. So good.
She does,
Thank
yeah.
you. I
But
appreciate
just to
it.
be absolutely clear, you are so much smarter than him. Don't ever let him tell you, like, obviously it's a joke and he's joking, but like, it's not even a funny joke because you're so much smarter
Yeah.
than him. It would be funny if you guys were similar
Right.
in intellect.
Yeah.
But you're
I mean, it's-
so much smarter that
it's not hard.
I mean, it's not, but it's still, you're much smarter than him.
But you know what the beautiful thing is, even though that's true? This is the motherfucking Nick Vertucci show.
Yeah.
So we can't
That's
get
what-
around that.
you
So
put in- when
whether
you put
she's
in-
smarter or not, there it is right there.
You put in
This
half
is
a
dying
mil.
down.
That's what you
kinda-
get. You get a logo.
I need a new
All I
battery.
have is a fucking
You get a
spreadsheet to
logo.
my name.
Yeah, you're a logo and stuck in a medium shirt. Anyways, thanks for coming on Double M. We got
Thank you for
Valerie
having me.
Brill.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. This is the Nick Vertucci Show. I am Nick Vertucci. Envy out.